Alex heard him say that art is a natural gift, as Bradley placed a hand on his shoulder and added, and that ability as well. Bradley gently explained, it only shines when someone like you, Viscount, recognizes it. Alex dazedly turned to look at him. In this regard, it's a relief that Lady Rena's ability wasn't looked down upon. His voice reached all the way to where Rena was standing. She smiled happily as Bradley advised, please don't miss the different facets he shows. Night had now fallen, and melodious music filled the air, just as Felix walked up to Rena's side. Raising his wine glass, he smiled with relief, thinking how fortunate it was that she seemed to be in good spirits since the day began. He took the wine glass from Rena's hand, and Felix bowed his head to ask with concern, Han, aren't you tired? I'm confiscating this. She spoke softly in embarrassment. Ah, my glass, he continued. It's your first time meeting so many people, after all. She tilted her head thoughtfully, then Rena smiled and replied, this was more interesting than I thought. Felix responded with a weary look. As for me, I just wish everyone would hurry up and leave. He thought to himself, it's not like I'm not tired either. Rena covered her mouth with a bright smile and asked, oh right, how long will the Duke be staying? Remembering Lloyd's fake smile while making a finger heart, Felix's face darkened as he replied with disgust. He said 1 month, but I already feel like I have no energy left. Hearing that, Rena thought helplessly to herself. It would be wonderful if he went back soon. A second later, Rena clasped her hands and began awkwardly, I know you're not at all pleased with the Duke's actions. But then she looked at him and gently expressed, even so, please don't hate him too much. Rena's next words made him look at her in confusion. I was truly very grateful to the Duke today. Felix asked, that brat? Rena calmly thought to herself, if I tried to hide it, he'd find out right away anyway. She began to tell him what happened. The thing is, Father was bragging about the cookies I made. The two were now sitting next to each other on a bench as Rena continued. Naturally, the atmosphere wasn't very pleasant. She thought about the nasty things they said about her cookies, and her painting. It seems we only have a lady who can paint, not one who can cook. Alex. Rena sighed and said, although I don't really know what the big difference is between painting and cooking, but remembering Alex from before, she remarked. In any case, if the Duke hadn't been there in that situation, Father would have been in quite a bit of trouble. Then Rena smiled cheerfully as she explained, it was the same at the festival too. I was wondering if there was some way I could repay him. She was silently grateful in her heart, thinking how lucky she was to get this opportunity. The next day, Felix stared ahead blankly. Standing by his horse, Lloyd turned his head and shouted, hey you, what are you doing just standing there? Get over here. A second later, he was completely flustered to hear Felix's sincere gratitude. Duke Cromwell, I'm truly grateful. Then Lloyd grabbed his own shoulders and turned away, frowning as he yelled, What is it, Felix? Did you eat something weird? Even if you say that, I'm not letting you off the hook. He raised a hand to his chin and smiled lightly. A moment later, Felix laughed loudly and waved his hand in response. I just heard you enjoyed the cookies yesterday, so I'm thanking you for that. Looking at the dumbfounded Lloyd, he asked, now what am I supposed to do with that stupid look on your face? Lloyd's eyes went wide as he exclaimed, oh my God. Remembering the eye contact he and Felix had made earlier, Lloyd thought in disbelief, I can't believe I'm actually hearing you say thank you. Then he looked annoyed, complaining as he got on his horse, geez, what a terrifying guy. Grabbing the reins, Lloyd turned his head and excitedly suggested, let's do that more often. Now. Lloyd leaned back in his chair, letting out a heavy sigh as he looked at Felix. He couldn't help but wonder what had gotten into this kid so early in the morning. Suddenly, a voice rang out. Ah, you're all here just in time. Holding a newspaper, Aaron asked, I just heard about this today. I wonder if you've all heard yet. Behind Philip, a wall covered in bloodstains was now visible. Aaron announced, they say another person died at Larry. He calmly assessed. Either way, that company has a lot of problems. The newspaper headline was about someone's passing. Felix pointed out, that's 3 people this year alone. Lloyd turned to ask, they don't even compensate the relatives? Behind him, Rena brought over a cup of tea, offering, please, try this. Aaron reached out to take it, replying, thank you, miss. Felix lowered his head and answered, to them, the laborers are slaves, not workers. Aaron brought a hand to his chin with a worried look. Lloyd added, even so, there's nothing we can do unless we quickly find someone who hasn't taken a bribe from that company. Lloyd silently watched his reflection in his teacup, tapping his fingers on the table. Felix remarked grimly, those who have never known hunger find it hard to think of those who do, so they can't possibly know the weight of 5 siu-lin for a day's work. Lloyd scratched his head and said sheepishly, I hate to say it, but the rich don't go down that easily. Then Lloyd gave a goofy grin, prompting Aaron to shoot him a look of disgust. Rena stared intently at him. Lloyd's voice continued, here's something to think about. Even if society changes, its fundamental structure doesn't. At this, Felix added firmly, that's why we need a system that's stronger than that. He looked at everyone resolutely and proposed, "We must protect laborers under the framework of the law." Aaron, sweating, replied, "That's easier said than done. The backlash will be fierce. Power is meant to be used in times like these." Then, Felix gestured with a smile and reminded him, "It's not meant to be used for personal satisfaction." Meanwhile, Rena looked at him with admiration, thinking to herself, "Felix, even when surrounded by people like this, he speaks his mind without any hesitation." Suddenly, there was a snap of the fingers. Now, we'll never reach a conclusion this way." Lloyd looked towards Rena and asked with a smile, "How about an outsider's opinion?" She looked at him, startled. Then Rena lowered her head and put a hand to her chin in thought. Before she could even answer, Lloyd flusteredly tried to backtrack. "Ah, this kind of talk is pretty boring, isn't it?" Rena waved her hands, replying awkwardly, "No, that's not it at all. You're all having a serious discussion." Then she asked with a shy smile, "Well, would you really want my opinion then?" Lloyd replied cheerfully, "Of course. A fresh perspective is always welcome." After that, Rena mumbled bashfully, if you say so." Her face instantly turned beet red, and Lloyd froze in astonishment at Rena's suggestion. Forcing them is an option, but should I let people step forward on their own? He wondered to himself. This is a little unexpected, huh? Suddenly, Aaron covered his mouth to hide a laugh and asked, "That's a nice thought and all, but is anyone actually willing to volunteer? My own lady often says such naive things too." Rena imagined a wonderful future, one where everyone was smiling. She rambled on, "So, if the rich step up and do charity work, they should get a reward, like giving candy to a kid for taking bitter medicine, or maybe tax exemptions, or even priority business rights." Holding a cookie, Felix replied, "That's not entirely impossible. It would reveal new possibilities." Breaking off a piece of the cookie, Felix continued, "However much we've been providing for the workers until now," Aaron looked at him blankly and said, "We'll just provide the same amount this time. If you increase the workers' share, they'll be more motivated, and that will drastically increase productivity. Ultimately, it could create a virtuous cycle that benefits the business owners too." Aaron crossed his arms and replied helplessly, "That sounds great in theory, but what kind of owner would give up their profits?" Suddenly, Felix and Rena declared firmly in unison, "Our mother would." "She would?" A moment later, the two of them turned to look at each other in shock. Aaron pointed a finger to remind them, "No, about that, the Duchess." Before he could finish, a hand shot out and covered his mouth. Lloyd rushed in with a big grin, exclaiming, "Now, hold on a second. Let's change the atmosphere a little." Then he pointed behind them and suggested, "Lady Rena, you should join us for camping later." With a puzzled look, she pointed to herself and asked, "Oh, me too?" Pointing at the irritated Aaron, Lloyd said disdainfully, "If you just hang around with these punks, you'll probably just end up spending all your time on boring conversations like this." Then he put on a pathetic look and pleaded, "Please, Lady Rena, you'll be my savior, right?" Rena politely clasped her hands and replied, "I should be the one thanking you for inviting me." At that, Felix's face fell into a somber expression. A little later, they were walking through the garden, and despite Felix scowling behind them, Lloyd was laughing obsequiously. "So that's why this place is so beautiful," Rena replied cheerfully. "It's all thanks to our mother." Felix furrowed his brow, his lips tightening as he thought, "It's a good thing that Rena is fitting in so well without any shyness, but the problem is..." Then he glanced to the side, lost in thought. Remembering how he himself had scornfully avoided her, he wondered, why did it have to be this guy of all people? This noisy Lloyd guy is all over her. That's just his type. Aren't you the least bit shy meeting your fiancé? He then recalled a scene of Lloyd cheerfully chatting with other girls, and now his eyes were glued to the pair in front of him as he lamented, "I don't like this at all." Suddenly, Lloyd glanced over at him. Felix, startled, quickly turned his head away. Lloyd thought to himself, amused, I see it. That little punk is jealous." Rena looked up at him, and Lloyd deduced, "Well, that one over there is clearly jealous. And this one here." He smiled, stroking his chin, and thought, "She's so open with her feelings, but looking at how many times they've pushed each other away, they're obviously a difficult couple." A second later, Lloyd placed a hand on his forehead, lost in an arrogant fantasy. "I guess it can't be helped. As long as this magnificent specimen is here, I suppose I'll have to lend a hand." Suddenly, Aaron called out in confusion, "Huh, is someone else not here yet?" In the distance, the tea table was completely empty. He shielded his eyes from the sun to get a better look, and it seemed like an entire family had arrived together, since I could see it was a pretty big carriage. Suddenly, Rena's face filled with dread, as if she'd seen something horrible. A woman in high heels stepped down, exclaiming with fake enthusiasm, "Oh my, I can't believe you came to welcome us in person, Catherine." Catherine thanked her with a venomous look. "The honor is all mine." Duke Winter approached Lloyd and exclaimed cheerfully, "Well now, Duke Comwell, long time no see. I've known you since you were just a boy, and look how you've grown into such a mature young man." Hearing that, he He quickly waved his hand and replied with a polite laugh. Anyone would think I'm the one in charge. Catherine, standing nearby, also chimed in with a laugh, but everyone knows this was only possible thanks to Duke Comwell. Felix stood there watching the charade before him, unable to keep from frowning. A voice asked, "How long are you planning to stay? This time we have a special connection with the family, so, to grow closer, we'd like to take a leisurely tour around together." A special connection, you say? Suddenly a hand went up as if its owner had just remembered something. He said, "That's right, Homgood." The hand belonged to Lloyd, who leaned in and asked with an excited expression, "It's Lady Rena's family, isn't it, Philip?" He suddenly broke into a brilliant smile and walked over to grab the hand of Winter, and to everyone's surprise, praised, "You both must be so proud of Lady Rena. She's not only multi-talented but also incredibly thoughtful." The man was a bit startled, and said with a forced laugh, "What, Rena? Ah, yes." Felix turned his head to watch the two of them, chatting away. Lloyd couldn't stop showering her with praise. "It's the first time I've ever met a lady who is so intelligent and so multi-talented." Felix watched the scene before him, his expression pensive as he thought, "This is a complete disaster. They showed up without even an invitation. I have to report this to Father right away." A pair of feet leisurely approached. Lucy stood behind Rena, frowning in annoyance as she asked haughtily, "Hey, where do you think you're going?" She reminded her arrogantly, "It's been a while since you've seen your parents. You should be here, right?" Rena hesitated, sweat beading on her cheek, and whispered, Suddenly, she grabbed Rena's wrist and snapped impatiently, "Stop dawdling and hurry up!" With that, she ruthlessly dragged the frozen Rena along. Her face was grim, her mind scheming. "I have to stick close to her, so I can get another chance to talk to the Duke." Lucy's voice rang out, catching their attention. "Father, Rena has come to say hello." Hearing this, Winter put on a welcoming face and said cheerfully, "Oh, Rena, my beautiful daughter, you're here?" He took her from Lucy, put an arm around her shoulder, and gestured as he introduced her. "You really have spoken so well of this lacking child of mine. Now, Rena, go and thank the Duke." Seeing that she hadn't moved and had been silent the whole time, he quickly explained, "The girl is just shy around strangers." Rena felt awkward, thinking to herself, "I have to say something, no matter what." Winter's expression darkened, but thankfully Catherine, sensing the mood, quickly changed the subject. "Come to think of it, your youngest brother Aiden is still at the academy, isn't he?" She hurried over to stand before Lloyd, introducing excitedly, "Our Maurice is at the academy with him too, you know, but he couldn't make it today because of his studies." Hearing this, Lloyd, who was standing beside Felix, thought about their little act and asked in confusion, "Joffrey and Auden are also at the academy, right?" Felix calmly looked at him and replied, "That's right. Joffrey is the youngest, after all." "Yes." Hearing them talk, Winter happily and quickly chimed in, "That's wonderful. Oh, we can all see each other in the future, Maurice too." Catherine, who was beside them, couldn't help but add, "Yes, Your Grace, he's an incredibly smart child," Lloyd said with a polite, beaming smile. "Even so, I'll have work at the academy, so I'll get to see all three of them." She covered her mouth with her hand and replied with a shy laugh, "Oh my. Thank you." Suddenly, a voice nonchalantly asked, "But if you have work, isn't it at the first academy?" Lloyd also fell into deep thought. That's what one would naturally think, right? That same voice continued, "In that case, it'll be pretty hard for you all to meet." Suddenly, as if remembering something, he listened dazedly. "Aiden and Joffrey are at the second academy." Only then did he react. He walked over and clapped Felix on the shoulder, saying with a strained smile, "You're really something else." Felix didn't stop there and continued, "I just assumed they would naturally attend the first academy. Just like you." Of course, words like these completely made Catherine absolutely furious. Trembling all over, she thought to herself, "In this situation, I can't possibly say that Maurice is also at the second academy. I have to make my relationship with Maurice seem completely natural." She bowed her head, but her eyes couldn't hide her anger. Only then could she spread rumors about her fated connection with the Duke. Meanwhile, Rena stood stock still, not moving an inch, when an urging voice spoke. "At times like this, you have to do something, Rena. This useless girl." A pair of feet came running in a hurry. Alex panted, looking at them and stammering, "Goodness, if you had contacted me, I would have come to greet you all earlier." Rena would have also. His words caught in his throat when he saw Rena standing next to Catherine. He froze for a moment, then spoke politely to Winter. "Now, everyone, let's not stand around here any longer. Please, come inside. You still have to unpack your luggage." He tilted his head slightly to glance at Felix behind him and continued, "I will show everyone to their rooms." "All right." Felix quickly walked over, gesturing for Rena to join him. "Let's go inside too. We've been out here for too long." They had only taken a few steps when Lucy, from behind, arrogantly ordered, "Rena, how rude. You're supposed to be guiding us." She froze, stammering with a strained smile. Felix gripped her shoulder and didn't let go, his voice low as he said, "No, Without turning his head, he spoke in a tone that was both an explanation and a command. The Viscount will personally guide you, so nothing will be amiss. Otherwise, does this mean that the house of Despencer's hospitality is lacking? Lucy, unwilling to back down, shouted, "What are you talking about?" Her scream drew Catherine's attention. She called out coldly, "Lucy, come here now. The Duke is going inside as well." Hearing that, the girl turned to follow, muttering, "I'm seriously speechless." Rena bowed her head tiredly and sighed. Seeing this, Felix asked with gentle concern, "Are you very tired?" She put a hand to her head and quickly replied, "No, not at all. I'm fine." She suddenly leaned against Felix, her expression pensive as she explained, "I wanted to show them that I'm doing well." He also pulled her into his arms, listening to her speak, but it seems like it didn't go as planned. She looked up at him, and he gently reminded her to go get some rest. "I'll bring dinner to your room." She politely replied, "Thank you, but I'll come down when I feel better." Hearing this, he smiled faintly, then suddenly a voice called out, young master." He gave the servant a cold look, as they reported, "The Duke is looking for you, sir." He immediately replied, "I'll be right there." The moment he saw Lloyd, Felix exploded, yelling, "Lloyd, have you decided to go back yet?" Being yelled at so suddenly, Lloyd grumbled in annoyance. "Ugh, what is it now? What's the problem?" He looked at Lloyd packing and complained, "Because of this little vacation of yours. All the pests have swarmed in." Lloyd, looking aggrieved, shouted his explanation, "I thought they'd just keep quiet and leave. I usually only hang out with you, so how was I supposed to know so many people would show up?" He shot Lloyd a cold glare and warned in a stern voice, "If something like today happens again, you won't be staying for a month. You won't even need to unpack. You can just pack your bags and get out." Lloyd was completely infuriated, his whole body trembling with rage as he screamed, "Why the hell is everyone getting so worked up over me?" He threw a pillow onto the floor with a soft thud. He leaned back into the chair and closed his eyes to calm down, thinking that a magnanimous person like himself just has to endure. Still, something felt strange. He replayed the details in his mind, wondering in confusion. The atmosphere was perfectly fine this morning. It was right after the Homgood family arrived that things got uncomfortable, after Lady Rena's family got here. He sat in the chair, lost in thought, when he suddenly remembered something. Lloyd shot up with a knowing smile, muttering to himself, "It seems this is a lot different than I expected, huh?" The party was in full swing, with melodious music stirring everyone's hearts, yet Lucy wore a furious expression, her eyes looking like they could kill. She looked at the scene before her and couldn't help but think, "I still haven't been able to speak with him since dinner ended." Suddenly, a silver-haired girl took the initiative to speak up. "Ah, by the way, since we have some new people here, let's get some more opinions." Hearing this, Lloyd chimed in excitedly, "Oh, that's a great idea, isn't it?" A hand suddenly gestured toward Lucy, asking her, "So, Lady Lucy, please tell us your thoughts on the distribution of wealth. What do you think?" She answered hesitantly, Just for reference." The other woman didn't press further and continued, "Felix and his wife want the ruling class to handle the distribution of wealth, but I think that would be quite difficult." Then she suddenly turned to Lloyd. "The Duke has yet to state his position." Lucy's expression darkened as she lowered her head with a smirk and muttered, "The idea of us handling the distribution is so naive." Her last comment startled Rena, whose face shifted into an awkward smile as she asked, "Are we some kind of charity? What is there to be stingy about?" With that, she nonchalantly raised her wine glass. That wench, Lucy thought to herself, one foolish child who knows nothing, and another worthless child, with no special status to speak of. She raised her glass high in front of Felix and Rena, offering sarcastic praise. "Well, at least you two are on the same wavelength, so you'll get along just fine." She leisurely brought the glass to her lips, startling the person sitting next to her. In the midst of the tense atmosphere, Lloyd seemed to intentionally shout when he recognized the tune. This is my favorite song." Lloyd suddenly walked up to Rena, politely offering his hand for a dance. "Miss Rena, would you be willing to take this sad hand that has no partner?" Rena was stunned, stammering as she replied, I'm not very good at dancing." Not waiting for her to agree, Lloyd pulled her away with a reassuring, "It's okay. Trust me." Rena didn't have time to react, only letting out a soft, huh. The two people behind them also got up to say their farewells. I'm just going to step away for a moment and we'll be right back, Sir Felix. I don't have a partner either." Lucy, not understanding what was going on, frowned and sipped her wine, wondering, "What is it? What's wrong with everyone?" The silver-haired girl from earlier helplessly pinched the bridge of her nose, then she too asked with a serious, cold face, "You call that a discussion just now?" Being confronted, Lucy replied indignantly with a twisted expression, "Well, you asked, so I answered." But she just kept mumbling and grumbling. Respecting other people's opinions while speaking your own mind is just common sense. Honestly, isn't that something you're taught as a kid? Not wanting to hear it, Lucy turned away and saw Lloyd and Rena. She couldn't help but wonder, why should I even care about her feelings? But if the Duke thinks the same way, what am I supposed to do? Her silhouette looked a bit desolate. I have to talk to him by any means necessary if I get the chance. While she was lost in her thoughts, Lloyd stood before her and called out, "Lady Lucy." He then extended his hand in a gentle invitation that made her shy. "Come on, Miss Lucy, let's have a dance too." Though he smiled brightly, he was thinking to himself, if they stay together, she'll just be cruel to Rena again. Seeing the scene in front of her, Rena turned away, breathing a quiet sigh of relief. Suddenly, someone offered a glass of wine to her with words of comfort. "Don't take it too much to heart." It was the silver-haired girl from earlier, who smiled brightly as she spoke to her. "Even if they're family, you don't have to shoulder every single thing. You don't have to worry about it all." So Rena accepted the glass of wine, watching the person before her ramble on, oblivious to someone watching them from afar. "My younger sibling and I have argued countless times too. Our thoughts are so different that I sometimes wonder if we're even part of the same family." Felix, holding 2 glasses of wine, watched that girl and let out a sigh. He cursed under his breath. This bunch is nothing but a pain. With that, he headed towards them. "That's a huge help, really." Meanwhile, Lucy was explaining to Lloyd, "Right, I was just answering the question. And yet everyone is acting as if I went too far. How can someone be so dismissive of others?" She clung to his shoulders, her cheeks flushed, as she spoke to him. "That's right, you must have been so hurt," she thought to herself. "See? The Duke doesn't even mind that much." He steadied her, holding her hand as he reminded her, "Really now, please focus a bit." Suddenly, her expression fell, and she asked softly, "By the way, Your Grace, when do you intend to get married?" Lloyd didn't answer immediately, instead smiling teasingly. "I'm surprised you're so curious about that." She laughed along with him as she replied, "It's the #1 thing all the high society ladies are curious about." Lucy's next words made him freeze for a few seconds. "I want to be by your side too, Your Grace." Suddenly, he burst into laughter, catching the attention of those nearby, before he replied, "How rude of me." Lloyd regained his serious expression and looked at her, explaining, "First of all, I am very glad that not only to you, Miss Lucy, but to other people as well. I don't come across as a terrible person, but I already have a fiancé with whom I've promised my future." His final words completely shattered her calm demeanor, but Lucy couldn't believe it, stammering as she asked back, But no one has ever seen her face?" He replied with a pleasant smile, "Ah, that's due to circumstances." Catherine, who was getting ready, glanced at the figure with her face buried behind her. At that moment, Lucy buried her face in the cushion, choking out, "Mom, let's just go home now." Her mother, unaware of what had happened, asked casually, "What are you talking about so early in the morning? We still have so much to do." Suddenly, she shot up and screamed, "What does any of that matter? I just got rejected by the Duke. I'm so humiliated I can't possibly eat breakfast." At this, her mother's attitude changed, and she frantically grabbed Lucy, shouting, "You confessed to him? Are you insane?" She smacked her daughter repeatedly, reminding her, "I told you to get close to the Duke first. What are we going to do now that you've confessed so recklessly? I've told you hundreds, thousands of times, yet you still do whatever you want." She swung her arm in anger, her words sharp and cruel. "If you're going to be that stupid, then at least don't cause a disaster. This is so frustrating. If you want to go, then go by yourself." It seemed she slapped Lucy across the face, causing her to scream in pain. "So loud!" Lucy clutched a corner of the blanket on the bed, listening to her mother's yelling, "This is so infuriating. Why does everything go so well for that little wench? But for me?" Rena threw open the door and a blinding light shone on her. Rena was a bit flustered, stammering, "This, right now." Before she could finish, Lucy, clutching her cheek, ordered in a harsh voice, "What are you standing there for? Clean this up." She quietly turned to leave, saying, "I'll call a maid." Seeing her walk away, a resentful Lucy shouted, "Hey, are my words that insignificant to you?" Rena didn't run away but turned to face her, saying, "You are a guest, so I came to see if you needed anything." The ungrateful girl pointed at her and retorted, "That's right, I need something. That's why I'm telling you to do it." Rena refused her without a hint of fear. "That is no longer my job, so please don't order me to do these things anymore." She was furious, her face contorting as she thought, "Ha, you've got to be kidding me. I take out a little anger on her, and she's already acting this insolent before she's even gone?" She swung her hand and screamed at her, "I told you to do it, so you better do it!" As her hand was coming down, someone grabbed her wrist. Luckily, before the slap could land, Jeffrey stopped it. Jeffrey frowned. "Hey, what do you think you're doing?" Rena awkwardly called out her younger brother's name, Jeffrey. Suddenly caught doing something shameful, Lucy became furious with embarrassment. "What? This is my family's business, so you can stay out of it." Jeffrey didn't hesitate to confront Lucy head-on. "Who's the one with no manners, raising a hand first? Besides, she's our family now." Lucy was livid, and she screamed at Jeffrey. "What? Manners? Are you done talking? Jeffrey mocked Lucy. For a daughter of a count, you sure? Resort to your fists like some uneducated thug. Suddenly, a 15-year-old kid had jumped in and was criticizing her harshly, which wounded Lucy's pride. Do you think you'll get away with saying that? Jeffrey gave a cold smirk. Why? Are you going to tattle to someone? Your parents? Or how about that shriveled-up duke you're dying for? Make sure you tell them exactly how you were arguing. With a 15-year-old kid, Jeffrey grabbed Rena's hand and ran from the room. A furious Lucy screamed, "You just wait." The two of them ran for quite a long way and only dared to stop once they were outside. Ha! They probably won't chase us this far, right? Yeah. Rena was worried she had caused big trouble. After all, that was the Count's family, so what now? Joffrey burst out laughing. It's okay. The worst that will happen is you'll get a scolding. If it happens again, just kick her in the butt. You've got us, you know? After reassuring Rena, Joffrey waved goodbye to her. Rena waved back at Joffrey, but her worries still hadn't faded. But is it really okay to go on like this? Both Sir Aaron and Duke Cornwell are good people, and everyone in the family is protecting me. But how long can I keep running away? Rena was afraid the past would repeat itself again. Back home, Rena was always severely criticized. What good could you possibly do? Everything you have is thanks to us. I can't just hide behind other people forever. Sensing someone approaching, Rena looked up. Just then, Duke and Duchess Alex were walking over. Rena suddenly realized, that's right, now is the time. I have to change. I need to get a grip. Inside the banquet hall, Mrs. Catherine was looking at the paintings on the wall, brazenly criticizing them. The Alex family's habit of wasting money on art. Look at this fancy painting. They must have blown all their money on this. Tisk, it should have been you who came instead, don't you think? Lucy muttered irritably. Mother, are you crazy? Mrs. Catherine lamented to her precious daughter that instead of Rena being the one to receive such a favor, if it had been you, wouldn't your parents be living here by now? Lucy was still fuming about what happened earlier. She asked, Are you serious, Mother? You expect me to live with these brats? Mrs. Catherine pointed right at Lucy's face and scolded her. Then what are we supposed to do? You haven't received a single marriage proposal, have you? Such a hasty decision from that Cornwell boy. When that girl was trailing after the Duke, I should have stopped her, even if it meant hitting her. And just like that, she's already 20 years old. If this year just passes us by. Haha. All right, I'll have a little chat with Rena later. Hearing that name, Lucy immediately whipped her head around to look for Rena, seething with jealousy. Because Rena had better connections. Everything that girl is enjoying should have been mine. I should have been the one. The more Lucy thought about it, the angrier she became, her entire body tensing up. Lucy staggered out of the noisy banquet hall. I refuse to believe it. Who really knows what's true? This huge mansion, the money, even the connections. They were all supposed to be mine. It's like I kicked away a fortune myself. As she was walking and thinking, she once again turned back to the banquet hall, unaware that the moment she saw Lord Alex, Lucy quickly hid. It's the Viscount. The nobles surrounding him asked, How have you been lately? Viscount, I heard you've been aggressively expanding your business lately. I was quite surprised to hear the news. Haha, my goodness. And you're handling charity work on top of all that? Lord Alex was beaming with pride. My goodness, really, I've just been so busy. The nobles there didn't expect Lord Alex to be so childish. You'd be bursting if you couldn't brag about it, wouldn't you? Lord Alex smiled radiantly. Actually, there's a reason I'm working even harder these days. I recently gained a daughter-in-law. That's why just leaving Lloyd to the grandchildren and my daughter-in-law would still be very lacking. A nobleman asked Mr. Alex, Are you planning on letting your daughter-in-law inherit too, Mr.? Alex replied without a moment's hesitation. Of course, I've already looked into everything. At Careblaga Vesper, we've already prepared villas everywhere for my daughter-in-law, since she's always loved to paint. So, I want her to be able to do whatever she wants. Evelyn said it would be better to have her inherit the business, but whatever that child wants to do, I will support her completely. Lucy overheard every word Viscount Alex said. People were saying how much Mr. Alex dotes on Rena, that the Viscount is truly one of a kind. I'm so jealous of your daughter-in-law. Overcome with jealousy, Lucy hid in the shadows, gritting her teeth. Something I can't have. Wait a minute. Spring is already here and there hasn't been a wedding invitation. There can only be one reason for that. They haven't even had the wedding yet. I haven't lost. I still have a chance. The crowd in the banquet hall began to thin out. Rena was feeling tired and sleepy. It was exhausting, but she only had to endure it for a few more days. Seeing Rena yawning constantly, Felix gently poked her cheek. He burst out laughing when she jumped in such a cute way. If you're too tired, you should go get some rest. Rena smiled and said hesitantly, but the Duke invited me to play a game with him earlier, so. Jeffrey suddenly appeared behind Rena without any warning. You can always play the game later. Seeing Rena jump, Philip quietly scolded his younger brother, Jeffrey. Hey now! Joffrey clicked his tongue, feigning innocence. Tsk. Just leave things here to my big brother and go get some rest. Joffrey said, as he pulled Rena's hand to help her up. She hesitated. But if I leave Felix here all by himself? Felix quickly reassured Rena. I'll be fine, really. Make sure you get her back safely, Joffrey. Felix's younger brother pouted at him. Geez, such a show-off. Once Rena was gone, Felix sat alone on the sofa, leaned back, and let out a sharp sigh. It's all thanks to Rena that I could stand it this long anyway. No matter what that little brat one says, I'm just gonna go in. Felix closed his eyes to rest for a moment, but then Lucy suddenly appeared. Oh my, why are you all by yourself today? Could it be that you're waiting for the Duke? Felix jumped, hastily sitting up straight. Yes. Lucy acted as if she was just passing by, coincidentally. Perfect. Do you mind if I sit here for a bit? Felix rolled his eyes, feeling incredibly annoyed. Of course, trouble always seems to find him when that kid is involved. Lucy was incredibly pleased. She felt so proud that Felix had let her sit beside him. He must not know how to act around a beauty like me. Perfect. All I have to do is tempt him a little and he'll fall right into my hands. I'm only saying this because it's just us. But don't you regret it? Felix furrowed his brow, not understanding what she was getting at. What are you talking about? Lucy started playing the role of a deeply understanding woman. A brilliant man like you deserves to be with a better woman. Wouldn't you agree? Felix responded to Lucy's question coldly. I have no idea what you're talking about. Lucy suddenly smirked, not hesitating to slander her own sister in front of her fiancé. Rena is so boring, isn't she? Wouldn't it be a shame to be stuck with a child who can't even speak up for herself and just does what she's told her whole life? That's why I'm giving you a chance. Felix didn't need to hear anything else. He already seemed to understand what Lucy was implying. What kind of chance was she even talking about? Lucy flirted with Felix in an incredibly whiny and coquettish tone. You don't have to hide it. You had no choice in this marriage, so I'm going to save you. We haven't even had the wedding ceremony yet, Felix asked her in a low voice. What makes you think I didn't have one? Lucy, still thinking Felix was interested, continued eagerly. It's only natural, since you're a Viscount. You had no choice but to marry someone from our family. That's why you ended up with someone so sullen. Lucy continued to caress Felix's face with her filthy hands, trying to seduce him. Cheer up. The wedding hasn't happened yet. You can do it with me. I knew it was an honor. Where else would a Viscount find someone like me? Lucy was still lost in her delight when she heard Felix's rejection. I'm not interested. Lucy was startled. What? What did you say? Felix forcefully knocked Lucy's hand away from his face and warned her. If that's all you have to say, then wake up. Lucy stared in shock at Felix's retreating back. Did I hear him wrong? Her whole body trembled with anger. What the hell? The next morning, Felix was in a bad mood from the moment he left his room because of what happened yesterday. It's so annoying. What the hell is wrong with her anyway? It would be such a pain if she suddenly tried something again, just thinking about it. So Felix didn't notice his little wife approaching him until Rena repeated her action from yesterday and poked his cheek. She even imitated the way Felix told her to rest. If you're too tired, you should go up and get some rest, okay? Felix asked Rena. That sounds an awful lot like what I said yesterday, doesn't it? Rena burst out laughing. Oh, you're right. Eden and Joffrey, who were walking over, immediately started teasing them. Looks like you two are having a lot of fun without us, huh? Looking incredibly smug, Felix lifted his chin and challenged them. If you feel so left out, why don't you come stand here too? Just as they were all enjoying a pleasant chat, Lucy suddenly appeared. Felix, can I have a moment of your time? The cheerful atmosphere instantly froze. Felix gave her an annoyed look. Yes. Lucy then shot a hateful glare at Rena. Lucy's glare made Rena feel quite uneasy. Watching the two of them walk further away, Rena thought to herself, what's with her calling his name so casually? Seeing that Rena was a bit dazed, Eden decided to tease her a little. Hey Rena, you're not bothered by those two, are you? Joffrey chimed in after his brother. You're not getting jealous, are you? Rena lowered her head in embarrassment, but then a thought made her smile unconsciously, just for a moment. In the quiet hall, only the footsteps of Lucy and Felix echoed. Lucy, Lucy. As she walked, she thought back to her conversation with Lloyd yesterday. Why are you here all by yourself? Feeling guilty, Lucy was startled when Lloyd appeared and she stammered. I was just here talking to Felix for a moment. Lloyd still didn't know why Lucy was left there, so he said, but leaving a lady all alone like that is. Just then, Aaron showed up with a scowl and Lloyd said to him, Hey, that friend of yours just ran off without saying a word. Aaron furiously shouted, You're kidding me? Felix? He disappeared again? Lloyd looked at Aaron helplessly. Yeah, what can I do? That kid's like a brother to me, so I have to be patient with him. Aaron disagreed. There's a limit to how fond you can be of him. You're not even blood brothers, are you? Afraid Aaron would get too worked up and say something he shouldn't, Lloyd signaled for his friend to be quiet. Just leave it at that. Don't get too curious. If she finds out any more, she'll get hurt. Aaron grumbled at Lloyd. You're ditching me again. Lucy started forming another plan after getting a better understanding of Lloyd and Felix's relationship. That reaction was probably because of the name within the blue of blessing. Why didn't I realize it sooner? Well, it's okay. Now that I know, I absolutely have to win him back. Lucy was still lost in her thoughts. Suddenly, Felix's voice snapped her back to reality. Miss, where are we going? Didn't you call me because you had something to talk about? Lucy spun around with a bright smile, oblivious to how worried Rena was feeling about the appearance of her scheming older sister, because just a moment ago, Rena had accidentally blurted out her true feelings, which surprised even herself, and she quickly hid her blushing face in embarrassment. What did I just say? It wasn't just Rena who was shocked. The Eden brothers were just as stunned. Jeffrey was so shocked his hair stood on end. No, that can't be right, can it? Is it true? Rena turned away in extreme embarrassment, looking like a timid little rabbit hiding away. What am I going to do now? Meanwhile, after Felix bluntly asked Lucy about her motives, she laughed and said, "We never finished our conversation from last time, did we? I'll give you another chance to think it over." "What I want," Felix sneered, coldly cutting her off. Her delusional daydreaming. "What I want? You've got it all wrong. You're talking about what you want, the fortune of this house. What I want is already by my side, so it seems you're mistaken. This marriage may have been a calculated move, but I proposed because I had already fallen for Rena from the very beginning." Felix clapped a hand firmly on Lucy's shoulder and warned her in a low voice, "I don't know where you get your confidence from, but there was never any room for you in the first place." As expected, Lucy was so enraged she lost all reason, and her expression turned incredibly vicious. "What are you talking about?" Felix suddenly stepped forward and leaned in close to Lucy's ear, whispering to her, "Now that you understand, I expect this to be the last time you ever bring this up, because it's just a waste of both your time and mine." Felix turned and left without a second thought, leaving Lucy alone to stew in her seething rage. Fallen for her? He bought a bride with cold hard cash and now he's spouting this nonsense? Haha, couldn't he come up with a better excuse? Fallen for her? Does he really think I like him? It's about the money. It was always about the money. I can't let myself be sold off for less than Rena. Lucy's brows furrowed in thought, and then a certain person came to mind. Why didn't I think of that? It doesn't have to be that unlucky guy. Lucy quickly ran to Rena's bedroom and barged right in. He'd better not regret it then. The youngest is too childish and rude, so that only leaves the other one. What was his name again? Lucy tilted her head, trying to think, but for the life of her, she couldn't remember the eldest brother Eden's name. She looked at herself in the mirror and muttered, "Whatever. It doesn't matter if I don't know his name. Father will transfer everything left from the business to that idiot Maurice, so I need to find a way to survive on my own." Rena sat anxiously on the sofa, lost in thought. What could they have talked about? I haven't seen Lucy since then, which is making me even more anxious. Felix was still sitting right next to her, but Rena hadn't noticed, which startled him a bit. Felix suddenly leaned in close to Rena and called her name. "Rena, Rena." Felix's sudden call startled Rena, and she unconsciously blurted out, the thoughts on her mind? "Could you too? That thing. That thing. Don't tell me you and Lucy did it this morning?" Rena's incredibly cute reaction made Felix unable to help but smile. "It was nothing like that. She just asked for my help for when her younger brother arrives." Rena quickly looked at Felix with her sparkling eyes. "Really? You really only talked about that?" "That's right." Felix reached out and cupped Rena's cheek. "Rena, are you worried about me? If not, could it be jealousy?" Rena frantically cut Felix off. "Yes, that's right, it's about Lucy. I was worried I was being rude to Felix." Just as Rena was about to confess her feelings to him, Lloyd suddenly appeared and cock-blocked them. "If you're going to worry about someone, it should be me, the one you stood up. You must have had a great time ditching me, huh?" An annoyed Felix shot back at Lloyd. "You mood killer, what about leaving Mr. Aaron all by himself?" Lloyd replied to Felix. "Oh, he got a message this morning and left early. His kid got sick, so he had to go." Rena asked, startled. "Oh my gosh, is everything all right?" "We can help." Lloyd burst out laughing. "It's fine. The sick kid was just an excuse." Rena didn't quite understand Lloyd. "An excuse?" Felix explained to her. "It was just an excuse to leave in a hurry." Lloyd grinned until his eyes practically disappeared. His wife wanted to see him right away, you know, just like how Felix wants to see Miss Rena. Felix furiously yelled, "Your Grace, since Mr. Aaron was leaving, why didn't you just go with him?" Lloyd acted helpless. "If I go back now, Charlotte will chew me out, so please spare me." Felix grumbled. "Lloyd, then you should have gone to her, not come here." A disgruntled Lloyd pointed at Felix and complained, "Wow, look at you, taking it easy?" And with that, Felix suddenly hugged Rena into his arms, much to Lloyd's astonishment. "Of course, we're practically joined at the hip, aren't we, Rena?" The gentle kiss on her hand was a reminder to Rena that she couldn't stay there any longer. Oh right, I just remembered I have something to do, so I'll step out for a bit and be right back." And with that, Rena dashed out of there, her face completely flushed, and placed a hand over her chest. She could feel her heart pounding wildly, and the moment Felix kissed her hand kept replaying over and over in her mind. Rena screamed internally. Gotta run! Embarrassed, Rena hurriedly fled, leaving only one phrase behind. I just remembered I have something to do so. I'll be back in a bit. The two men watched her fleeting figure as the door was hastily slammed shut, making a loud noise. Lloyd propped his chin on his hand with interest and remarked, How cute. Felix let out a helpless sigh. Then he calmly warned, She is my fiancée, you know, so don't get any funny ideas. Lloyd whined with a disgruntled tone. You can't be serious. That's so unfair. I can't even call her cute. If you're going to be like that, why don't you just hide her somewhere and admire her all by yourself? It was like a light bulb went off for Felix. He suddenly covered his mouth and thought excitedly, That's actually a pretty good idea. Lloyd saw right through him and spoke with irritation. There you go again. It was my mistake to say that, Felix. He suddenly clasped his hands together and said seriously in a low voice, You might think I'm exaggerating, but her very existence alone is something I'm grateful for. So how about it? For you, Duke Charlot? Is there someone who exists like that for you? Lloyd chuckled at Felix's sincere words, laughing so hard his face turned red. Then he started to tease Felix. That was a total knockout blow. I really have no right to be teasing you. Felix suddenly crossed his legs and made a suggestion that left Lloyd stunned. Anyway, why don't you tell me about your fiancé? I thought there was nothing about the Duke that I didn't know. He leaned closer to Felix and repeated doubtfully, You mean you? About me? Immediately, Felix launched into a long speech that completely flattened Lloyd with its lecture. You are very interested in history, not just of Benetitus, but you also have a thorough understanding of the Allied nations. You love everything about art, you enjoy wine and whiskey, but you prefer beer above all else. You are ambitious about learning new things. You pay more attention to the lives of the working class than I thought, and sometimes you use your family as a weapon against incompetent sycophants. Lloyd hurriedly backed away from him. Then he helplessly wiped his face and said mockingly, You know me that well, and yet you never thought to look into the fiancé. Of mine? But what Felix said next suddenly made Lloyd's eyes widen, leaving him completely stunned. It's not that I looked into it, those are things I came to know naturally, from being by your side for a long time. Lloyd, embarrassed, quickly turned his head away, avoiding Felix's gaze. He stammered, You're really? Felix placed his teacup down hard on the table, then his expression turned serious as he advised. However, if your feelings for that lady are anything like mine, then you need to be more mindful. Lloyd asked skeptically. Mindful of what? I don't push anyone away, and I don't cling to them either. Felix said bluntly, picturing Lloyd's free-spirited image. Be mindful of your own actions. It hit a nerve, and he immediately yelled in outrage. What kind of image is that? I've been so wronged. Lloyd slumped, dejectedly falling to his knees. You think of me that way too? Felix then dropped another story, a critical hit so powerful that Lloyd could no longer deny it. You went outside with those ladies right in the middle of the party, Lloyd complained, turning quickly to Felix. He irritably explained, They're Charlotte's friends, and they don't want to get married this way. Then they cried and begged me to introduce them to a better family. Felix nonchalantly retorted, Oh, but the rumors say otherwise. Lloyd ran a hand through his hair in distress, putting on a pathetic act. All right, there's no point in me getting worked up here. You have to understand my awkward position. Meanwhile, Rena, elsewhere, stared at the cards with a blank mind, not knowing what to decide. So, should I raise it to 5 shillings? But Felix, beside her, whispered into her ear, It's more fun when there's more money on the line. She hesitated. After all, that was enough money to buy 10 eggs and 10 potatoes. I'm not going to win this way, even though I struggled so hard to learn the rules. But for some reason, I really want to do well. When I see everyone getting so serious, I want to look amazing in front of Felix too. Everyone is probably going easy on me because they're concerned, but I can't back down in the middle of a game. I have to win it all. Rena slammed her 2 cards down, and then an announcement was heard. Rena wins! Felix excitedly swept her into a hug and praised her loudly. You're amazing! Don't tell me Rena secretly learned how to play cards behind our backs? Lloyd leaned back, complaining in frustration. Man, there's just no way to beat Rena. This married couple cleaned me out completely. Eden propped his chin on his hand and laughed, reminding him, Duke, if you keep losing like this, aren't you going to end up living here? Just then, Lucy suddenly approached and tapped Eden gently on the shoulder, asking politely, Hello, Eden. Pardon the interruption? It's important. I hope you can spare a moment for me. Eden reluctantly replied in a soft voice. All right. At that moment, Rena's expression suddenly darkened as she shot to her feet. Crying out, Lucy, you, that dress! A hand gently pressed down on hers. Felix whispered, calming the agitation that was flaring up inside of her. It's all right, just trust him. Since it's Eden, he'll sort things out and be right back. In the hallway, the sound of footsteps echoed continuously, disturbing its inherent tranquility. And as Eden walked behind Lucy, he suddenly cast a skeptical, indifferent gaze aside and asked, So, what is this important matter? Since we're strangers, I can't possibly guess what it could be. She stared blankly, pointing to herself as she repeated, strangers? We haven't just visited once, but twice! I'm Lucy, Rena's sister, Lucy Homegood. All you kids from this house have terrible manners. Eden said coldly. All right, Miss Lucy. So what is it exactly? Have you been inconvenienced in some way during your stay? Lucy, annoyed and irritated, thought to herself suspiciously, what's with this reaction? He's so dense. Or is he just trying to give me a hard time? It can't be anything else. Do you think I'm someone you can just treat this way? She suddenly wrapped her arms around his neck, and the brazen Lucy spoke in a seductive tone. I hear you don't have a fiancé yet. So it seems you haven't decided on a marriage partner, have you? Then let it be me. Marriage? He suddenly burst out laughing. To her surprise, ha 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 ha. Lady Lucy, I'm just asking to be sure about that proposal earlier. Did you ask my brother? Lucy got angry and questioned Eden with a growl. What does that have to do with anything? I'm the eldest daughter of the Count, and I've already proposed marriage, yet you still can't figure out what's going on? He suddenly went cold again, pulling his hand away from her suspiciously. You were always chasing after Duke One's son, so it makes no sense that you'd suddenly propose to me. After all, I'm just the second son. Lucy flinched, hastily pointing right in Eden's face, and shouted, Fine, talk is cheap. As the second son, shouldn't you be more aware of your position? I've already given up on him and said I'd marry you, so what's with this attitude? You're so rude and reckless, and you don't hesitate to look down on people. Rena must have had such a hard time being with someone like him. Meanwhile, Eden observed her coolly before commenting, You haven't changed at all since the festival, my lady. And that habit of always wanting what other people have. Oh wait, that's just your nature, isn't it? That's still the same as ever, Lucy screamed furiously. It's all because of that brat Rena. She tricked me. He wearily closed his eyes, then turned halfway to leave. If you're just going to keep blaming other people and keep spouting this worthless nonsense, I'm leaving. You should go and apologize to Rena already. She suddenly raised her voice, starting to tell a story in a very smug tone. Let me tell you something interesting. The person you all took in isn't a count's daughter, but a brat who lived like a servant. If I can't have him, neither can you, Rena. You're all just protecting an empty shell. Eden glanced back at her, annoyed and full of disdain. Lucy, still excited, rambled on. Marrying a girl like that. Eden suddenly leaned in close to her face, sizing her up. You seem pretty jealous of Rena, don't you? Then you should follow her example. Instead of stealing a dress that was a gift for my sister. Lucy angrily slapped his hand away, retorting, What? I bought this dress at a boutique. The moment she said that, Eden let out a smirk. That's when he revealed a secret. That dress. Did you know I made it myself? Eden pointed directly at her outfit and threatened. If you don't want to be humiliated like at the festival, then return that dress to its owner. It wasn't made for you to wear. Unwilling to back down, Lucy glared at him. And then, trembling with rage, she hissed through her teeth, You people from this house are all bad luck. Lucy screamed like a madwoman. Unfazed, Eden turned and walked away decisively. Thanks for the compliment. And so, he quickly returned to the banquet hall, where everyone was gathered around a table, chatting leisurely. Eden immediately switched back to a cheerful mood, walking over to ask Rena, Looks like you had plenty of fun while I was gone, huh? She looked toward him, stunned. Eden? Joffrey, however, was annoyed by how long he took. What was that? What took you so long? Seeing her curious look, Eden replied, Oh, it was nothing. I just ran into a lost guest on the way, so I was just guiding them, but Rena was still a little worried. Eden ignored what she said, and quickly changed the subject. What is all this? Then, Eden shifted his gaze to the pile of chips in front of her. Don't tell me you switched places with the Duke? Hearing that, Lloyd lazily leaned back in his chair. Don't even mention it. It was her first time, and she cornered me like that. Rena, flustered, could only wave her hands and say it was just luck. Next round, maybe the next round. Morris, who was sitting there pondering, felt a spark of interest upon hearing that. He smiled confidently and chimed into everyone's conversation. May I join? As soon as he said that, Lloyd's expression soured, and he shot a disdainful look at Morris. Then, he let out a cold remark. And who are you? You seem to be someone I don't know at all. The man bowed to Lloyd. A pleasure to meet you, Duke Comwell. I am Maurice Homegood. He simply replied indifferently. If you're a Homegood... Ah, are you Lady Rena's younger brother? He kept his bright smile. When it comes to cards, I know a thing or two, so if you let me play, you won't regret it. Just then, Winter took this opportunity to jump in and start flattering him. This is my son. Though he's young, he's quite talented. Please let him give it a try. Lloyd, knowing full well his intentions, said in a meaningful tone, Now what should we do about this? We already have a lot of players. The implication was crystal clear, and Catherine quickly understood. Without a moment's hesitation, she pulled Rena by the arm. Rena, what are you doing? You need to be tactful and get up. Seeing her rude action, Felix shot up in anger. What? But Lloyd grabbed his arm, shaking his head to signal him not to act rashly. However, Winter shamelessly argued, "That's right, cards are a man's game, and besides, it's rude to intrude on a place where men are enjoying themselves." But Lloyd didn't agree with him. "I can't let that happen, lady. Rena has taken a great deal of my money." And just like that, the atmosphere around her instantly grew tense. Rena, bewildered, whipped around to confront Catherine. What is this supposed to be?" Unfazed, she shifted all the blame onto her. "You're the one who wronged the Duke. Now hurry up and give it back to him." At that moment, he slammed his hand on the table, cutting off this ridiculous conversation. "That's enough," Lloyd said coldly and impatiently. "I'm speechless. Do you really think I care about a few shillings?" "Pardon?" Seeing this, Winter anxiously explained to him. "No, it's not like that. It's Rena. That girl has no shame." But Lloyd cut him off loudly. "Count Homegood," the man stammered in reply. Yes. He used the authority of a duke to command him. "Get out! Take everyone and get out!" As soon as those words were spoken, Winter felt stunned. Watching the family leave, Lloyd was utterly disdainful. Some people only understand when you get angry. He was tired and could only close his eyes to relax. "Rena, are you okay?" She ran towards Felix, a little worried. I'm fine. Just a little surprised, that's all." He then turned back to look at Lloyd and said, "You shouldn't have stopped me back there." He let out an annoyed sigh. "So I was just supposed to let you cause trouble with the Count's family? But you saw how they were treating Rena." She tightly gripped his hand. Philip still wanted to argue, but Rena stopped him. "Felix, I'm really okay. I'll be right back." No, he still couldn't bear to let her leave, but Rena calmly reasoned with him. "I'm sorry you had to see such an unpleasant sight, but I want to say what needs to be said and get an apology from them myself. Please trust me one more time." With a radiant smile, Rena confidently and firmly asserted, "I'll handle it." With that, she turned to leave, her shimmering golden hair fluttering softly under everyone's gaze. It was only then that Lloyd began to regret how he'd treated Rena's family. "I should have held back a little more. Won't this just get Rena caught in the middle?" Eden wondered. "Is it really okay to let her go off on her own?" And Felix could only place his trust in her. Since she herself asked us to trust her, we shouldn't get in the way of what Rena wants to do herself. Yes, her words from before still echoed in his mind. "I still have things to say. I will absolutely handle this, so please trust me and let me go." Because Felix knew very well, Rena was just getting started. Meanwhile, after her family had left the mansion, Catherine's mind was a complete mess. No, this isn't how it was supposed to be. She couldn't understand. The introductions went fine, so where on earth did it go wrong? Rena ran after them, calling out, "Mother!" She panted as she tried to stop Catherine. "Wait!" But her mother's cold words made Rena freeze in her tracks. "I've never had a daughter so useless and inconsiderate as you." Surprised, Rena quickly protested, "I didn't do anything wrong. If you had just spoken to me first instead of being so rude, we could have had a proper talk with the Duke, whether about Maurice's situation or father's business." Catherine sneered with contempt. How ridiculous. Then she immediately turned to walk away. "Who do you think you are?" However, Catherine spun back around angrily and snapped, "What can someone who was just working in the kitchen possibly do? Someone like you?" Deeply disappointed, Rena still tried to appeal to her. "We're still family after all. For your sake, I've endured so much, paying attention to your every glance and gesture." She shut her eyes tightly and cried out with all her heart, "I just wanted to help, even if only a little." "That's really all." Hearing this, Catherine raised her hand to slap Rena. "What gives you the right to shout?" But Rena didn't let her, swiftly catching Catherine's hand. Her mother was stunned by the sudden move. "Mother, don't you hit me!" Rena shouted, her eyes glaring. "I'm a person too." Catherine flung Rena's hand away, feeling as if she'd lost all control over her. You're talking back to me?" Seeing her tremble with fear, however, Catherine wasn't surprised. "It's just like a thing like you." Then Catherine pointed a finger in Rena's face and declared, "I don't need any help from you or the Duke." With that, she pulled Winter and Maurice away. "Let's go, Maurice. Your father has everything prepared for you. It doesn't have to be Lloyd." All her strength left her, and she hunched over, exhausted, Rena's heart filled with crushing disappointment. "I thought things had changed so much, but to Mother, I'm still just a useless daughter." Images of how that woman mistreated her flooded back into Rena's mind. Remembering Catherine's terrified expression from that moment, she suddenly realized she no longer found her as frightening as she once did. Meanwhile, at the Count's mansion, a frustrated scream rang out. "Oh my God, I'm so screwed." In Lucy's room, Catherine was complaining nonstop. "Where can I possibly hide to escape this humiliation? What are you going to do now?" Suddenly, Lucy, sitting in a chair nearby, let out a soft chuckle, which only made Catherine even more furious. "You can still laugh?" She calmly set her wineglass down on the table, saying, "There is a saying, 'Don't stare at a tree you can't climb,' so I should have just snatched up all the sons of this house." The more Lucy thought about it, the angrier she became. She turned and snarled at Catherine. "It's all Rena's fault. I've told you countless times it's all because of that brat." The older woman ignored her. "Stop whining and just sober up tomorrow to accept the marriage proposal." Even now, Catherine was still lost in her fanciful delusions, trying to make things work out. They have so many companies, it would be great if Morris could ask for one later. But Lucy just ran her hands through her hair, completely exasperated. "That's right. They said they're trying to establish another one for Rena." Those words left her completely speechless. "What?" Catherine, still cheerful and eager to squeeze out more benefits, said, "Well, if you become their daughter-in-law too, wouldn't they have to give us another one?" However, Lucy shattered her mother's fantasy. "They don't like me." She smashed the wine bottle, leaving a brilliant red stain splotched across the luxurious carpet. "They said from the very beginning that they sent the marriage proposal because they were fond of Rena." By now, Lucy was utterly devastated, and Catherine was also somewhat stunned. "Oh my goodness, really?" And then she burst out laughing, leaving Lucy stunned. "You should have told me sooner." So, it turns out Rena is useful after all. Then, Catherine cheerfully started scheming. "What should I send the girl to help her conceive a son quickly?" Lucy shouted in fury. "Mother!" But the older woman just gave a sly smile. "If that's the case, then won't that family give us absolutely everything?" At the same time, back at the Despencer residence, Rena had finally managed to calm herself. She sighed softly. "I should just try to act as normal as possible." When Rena returned to the room, Eden immediately shot to his feet. "Rena." Then Felix stepped forward and asked with concern, "Are you hurt anywhere?" Jeffrey asked worriedly. "Are you all right?" Eden chimed in. "How did it go?" Watching the scene unfold, Lloyd compared them to little puppies, just like a bunch of puppies waiting for their owner to come home. She felt a bit helpless as she tried to break free from their circle. I'm really okay. Anyway, the game is over now, isn't it?" He maintained a welcoming smile. "We can always play again next time. As long as you come, Rena, you're always welcome here." She could only force a smile and reply, "I'm sorry about my family business." But at that, Felix's expression grew serious. He was well aware of Catherine's immoral actions, but understood that for Rena, they were still her family. So, Felix gently lifted her face. "Rena, this is not your fault. You don't need to apologize." Rena's eyes widened, unable to believe them. He asked again, "Are you okay, Rena?" She remained stunned, realizing they were all genuinely worried about her. That's right. She could feel how much they all cared. She relaxed and leaned into his hand. "The Lloyd family would be hurt. Thank you all for worrying about me. I'm so lucky to have such a wonderful family. I'm really okay." A while later, someone rushed in. Duyen happily ran over to the young lady with a dress. Hearing that, Rena turned around curiously to see what the rush was about, and she quickly held the dress out for her to see. This is... Seeing the dress, she couldn't believe she was seeing it again. Rena immediately yanked the curtain aside to look at the person in the courtyard. She watched Lucy seething and grinding her teeth. Duyen explained, "Because your sister left early. I was packing her things for her, and the clothes arrived while I was doing it." After hearing that, she stared down at her through the window. Duyen added enthusiastically, "You've been so upset about this, so please, take it. I'll get it fixed later." But Rena didn't answer, simply clutching the dress tightly. Suddenly, she said something that left Duyen dumbfounded. "I should apologize, shouldn't I?" This made Duyen fume. To who? "Surely not to that sister of yours," Rena replied awkwardly. "Oh, no, I need to apologize to Eden, because this dress is the one Eden gave to me. I couldn't even take proper care of it, let alone wear it beautifully, so I'm a little worried." Duyen felt a pang of guilt. "Oh, my little lady, does your heart really have to be so kind?" She gently placed it in Rena's hands with a confident smile. "Why don't we do this instead? Instead of worrying about how to apologize like this, you should ask the young master to dinner." Hearing that, she was a little stunned. Rena, dressed in the beautiful gown, smiled radiantly and waved to her. She would show them how she cherishes herself and the gifts her family gave her. "I'm off now. Everyone in the house will be so happy to see this." After that, Rena strode off with a happy spring in her step. But suddenly, a pale hand reached out. Catherine extended her wicked hand toward her. "Rena, my beautiful daughter." She embraced her, whispering devilish words. "I've been too hard on you, haven't I?" After searching for a while, Rena called for Eden in a daze. "I wonder where Eden is." Little did she know, Catherine was lurking behind her, suddenly reaching out a hand toward her. Before long, Catherine had grabbed her by the hand. Then she put on the face of a benevolent mother. "Oh my, Rena, I was just looking for you too." She was astonished. "Mother, what are you doing here?" Catherine began to coax her. "Could you spare me a moment?" Rena was rendered speechless. The woman continued to speak with a smile. "After what happened yesterday, there's something I wanted to discuss with you. Let's have a little chat." In contrast to Catherine's cheerful mood, she sat gloomily on the chair, dragged away again. Catherine, however, maintained her pleasant smile. Where were you off to in such a hurry? Rena couldn't hide her surprise at the woman's attitude. I had something to attend to, so I was looking for some of the family. Catherine asked curiously. Who, Despencer? She continued to probe into her affairs. His family treats you well, I trust, right? Rena answered hesitantly. Yes, they're all very good to me. It was impossible to know what the woman was thinking upon hearing that answer, but she couldn't stop the corner of her mouth from curling into a slight smirk. Then, Catherine gently caressed her face. I'm sorry. We should have treated you well too, our sweet Rena. You must have been exhausted. The moment those words were spoken, a chill ran down her spine. Rena clenched her fists, trying to remind herself. This is so strange. Lucy has stopped bothering me, and Mother is acting concerned. Even though she's saying everything I've ever wanted to hear, I don't feel happy at all. Then, the woman's snake-like voice slithered in. Rena, my beautiful daughter. Catherine hugged her, feigning remorse. I've been so thoughtless, haven't I? The gesture made Rena uncomfortable. She'd honestly feel better if her mother just continued to despise her like before. She wanted to push her away, but couldn't. Mother, please excuse me. Then Jeffrey appeared out of nowhere and pulled her away. Rena, I've been looking all over for you. Only then did he glance at Catherine, looking clearly displeased. But Jeffrey still bowed slightly to her. My apologies, madam. I have urgent business, so I hope you understand. Catherine replied with a polite smile. Of course. Go right ahead, we'll see each other later, Rena. She waved cheerfully at her as she watched the two leave. Catherine's expression changed, and she became lost in thought. In her heart, there had only ever been room for Maurice and Lucy. Maurice, who had to shoulder the family's future, and Lucy, who was seeking a good marriage, were both necessary. As for the child left neglected in the shadows like her, but Rena, who wasn't lovable and wasn't good at anything, had truly been nothing but a burden. But now Catherine saw her differently. Rena, my useful daughter. At that moment, Jeffrey noticed Rena trembling behind him, and he stopped walking. Seeing him stop, Rena was a little surprised. What's this urgent business about? Did someone else arrive? Jeffrey put on a mysterious expression as he pushed the door open. Not exactly, but it is indeed urgent. Behind the door was the Duke's family. We need Rena's opinion. Just then, Evelyn clapped her hands to gather everyone. All right, now that everyone's here, let's get started. Once everyone was seated, she said, You've all been working so hard, so I've called you here to plan our vacation. This will be Rena's first trip with the family. So if there's anywhere you'd like to go, please say so. Suddenly Jeffrey shot up, excitedly suggesting, A lake! I love boating, so it has to be a lake. However, Eden pointed out, You can go boating at the sea too. Then Alex turned to ask for her opinion. Is there anywhere you'd like to go, Rena? This time, I hope we can go to a place of your choosing. She looked thoughtful. Remembering the landscape pictures in her books, Rena couldn't hide her excitement. Then, can we go to the sea? I've only ever seen it in books, so I'm very curious. Yes, he agreed with her. If it's the sea, then let's go to Freshmarger Beach in the north. Lloyd stepped forward to add to his words, surprising everyone. Your Grace? He smiled gently and said, My apologies for interrupting your family meeting. Lloyd smiled brightly as he explained the reason for his visit. But an important person is scheduled to arrive, and I thought I should introduce them to you. Just then, the sound of high heels echoed. And there was Catherine, approaching with a fake, fawning smile. Oh my, is everyone here? Seeing this, Rena gave him a disappointed look. Don't tell me the important person is. Lloyd quickly and helplessly denied it. Of course not. Why would I do that? He tried to compose himself. In any case, she's already brazenly shown up. I suppose the madam has forgotten what I told her. She maintained her overly friendly attitude and placed a hand on Rena's shoulder. Oh dear, I'm still so tormented, thinking about all the times I was harsh with you. I never meant to say such things, we're family after all. Hearing this, Rena cried out in horror, Mother! Elsewhere, as a carriage door opened, an urgent voice called out, My Lord Viscount. Forgive me for interrupting your conversation, sir, but a carriage has just arrived. It's from the house of Rothersay. Hearing that, Rothersay slowly stepped down from the carriage. Yes, and when Catherine found out, she was as happy as if she'd struck gold. From the house of Rothersay? You mean the eldest son of Arthur Rothersay from the ducal family? The person replied, Yes, but since it's an important matter, he has requested to see Duke Conwell alone. She still wanted to meet him. Oh, please don't. But Evelyn shattered her daydream, much to Catherine's stunned expression. My lady, you heard the Duke's request. We must respect our guest, so let's save our family matters for later. Evelyn said in a cold tone and stood up to leave. If you'll excuse me then. Catherine couldn't accept it and was filled with resentment. I thought if I just treated her a little nicely, she'd come running right back to my side. But it's not that simple. Both Rena and this damned family, Catherine complained languidly, plopping into her seat with an exhausted sigh. I don't even know what I'm struggling all alone for. At that moment, Winter interjected. What do you mean alone? I've been suffering a great deal too. His words made her jump with a start. What is it with you? Where have you been all this time? He began to smugly recount his deeds. I was just negotiating with a very important business. The thing is. Winter was met with criticism from Catherine. Stop worrying about that damn business. You've missed your chance to greet Duke Rotherzy. Already? He flatly dismissed the matter. Forget it. We don't need to suck up to anyone here. Let's just go home. Because this time I've really made it big. Ah, Winter thought confidently of a gold mine. This time, it's a real gold mine. A gold mine. Just you wait and see. This is truly going to be a top-of-the-line business venture. Meanwhile, outside the residence, Felix could only escort Lloyd this far. We'll see you off here. See you again later. He forced a smile. Ah, all right then. Please excuse me. Rena vaguely realized that it seemed to be a very urgent matter. The two of them watched Lloyd's back as he walked away. The reason he requested a private meeting with Duke Cornwell, unbeknownst to the other nobles, was likely a matter concerning his majesty. Seeing him approach, Rotherzy said cheerfully, "You're back? It seems you were enjoying. A proper vacation, huh?" Lloyd replied in a cold tone. "I only just got back." Rotherzy sounded regretful. "I was planning to surprise them, as you've probably guessed. We must head to the capital at once. I came to get you." His words left Lloyd stunned, who asked in surprise, "Why is that?" Before he could finish, Rotherzy gave a slight nod. "It seems His Majesty is having a harder time than I thought." Lloyd looked away. "I guess I'll have to give them Frisbee's address privately." He followed Rotherzy, remarking with a sigh, "So much for my vacation." After the social gathering, the whole group sat down, exhausted, reminiscing about the people they had met. Rena forced a smile. He came as quickly as he left. Eden sighed in exhaustion. Well, the party was missing its guest of honor, so it couldn't be helped. Joffrey, on the other hand, chuckled. "Maybe that's a good thing. We should get ready for the trip." That's when she asked Joffrey if he was doing all right. He was taken aback when he heard that. What? Rena was still worried about him, since he hadn't returned to the academy in a while. He'd have to go straight to the academy when he got there, so he needed to rest at home. Suddenly, Joffrey spoke up, "Together." She was stunned by his words, and he could only reply shyly, "I want to go there and make wonderful memories with you, so I don't want to be left behind." Rena couldn't hide how flustered she was, but she beamed happily. "You're right. Let's go and have a great time together this time too." Eden and Philip snickered, and his face flushed red as he shot back, "Stop laughing. I'm serious." Just then, Evelyn stepped in. "All right, you two, stop teasing our youngest." Then she handed Rena a list. "Rena, could you take a look at this for me?" she asked, confused. "What is it, Mother?" Rena took the paper and listened to her explanation. "This is the list of people who will be traveling with our family. Normally, we'd take them in order of seniority." She imagined the maids clamoring. "Oh, Mary, please let us go too. I don't even know if I'll get to go myself." Evelyn sounded exasperated, but since it's been so long since our last trip, the others want to come along too. "So, this time, you can choose who you'd like to bring with you." She looked at the list and remembered Jen sobbing her heart out. "In that case, I'd love for Gen to come with us, of course," Rena suggested cheerfully, but then her expression fell. She remembered how the other maids would pick on General Jen had worked so hard, and she rarely got a chance like this. "Very well then." Evelyn readily agreed to her choice. "Is there anyone else?" Rena was overjoyed. "So this is what it feels like to have someone listen to and respect my opinion. I love this feeling." A while later, as the train began to move, she eagerly gazed at the scenery outside, feeling like this was going to be an amazing trip. Rena grinned brightly and told Evelyn, "Mother, look, the ocean is so beautiful." Seeing her so happy, Evelyn felt a great sense of relief. "I was worried you'd get motion sickness, so I'm very relieved to see you enjoying yourself so much." Right then, Rena's face was aglow with happiness. Earlier, when she had brought her set of paintbrushes, Alex had been a little surprised. "Well now, you even brought these." He then cheerfully made a suggestion. "The scenery there is absolutely wonderful, you know. You've worked so hard lately. Now that the vacation you've been waiting for is here, shouldn't you paint to your heart's content?" "Yes." Alex gently took her by the arm and said, "There's a large market there, so you and Felix should go check it out." She happily agreed. "Okay." Back in the present, Rena was still gazing at the scenery outside the window. She said in a leisurely tone, "Thank you, Mother." Evelyn was a little surprised to hear that, and Rena turned to give her a radiant smile. "This will probably be a trip I'll never forget." But she couldn't shake the feeling that something was off, although I'm starting to feel a little nauseous. Evelyn sighed in resignation. "Starting to get motion sickness already?" Before long, everyone had arrived at the beach. "We're here! Look, the ocean! We'll watch the luggage, so you go on ahead and have fun." And Joffrey excitedly pointed at the water. "Rena, come on, let's go for a wade." She paused. "Shouldn't we help them with the luggage?" He grabbed her arm and urged excitedly, "It's our first time at the beach together, let's just go." Rena giggled. "All right, I guess so." As she turned, She saw Duyen with the luggage and called out to her. Duyen looked doubtfully towards the sound, and Rena ran over to grab her hand. Duyen, you should come with us too. But she glanced worriedly at Geoffrey. Me, how could I possibly? Just being able to come here is more than enough, I'm so grateful. Not caring one bit about Duyen's status, Rena said cheerfully. Just have fun today, it's okay. It's great that Duyen gets to take a break too, she immediately agreed. Okay. And then the three of them happily splashed water at each other. Rena picked up a large seashell, and Geoffrey burst out laughing because he thought it looked like a biological specimen. After playing for a while, she started to feel uncomfortable because sand had gotten into her shoes. Playing was fun and all, but this sand… Just as she was thinking that, Rena noticed a shadow fall over her and she blankly called out his name, Felix? But he was already down on one knee. Is it bothering you a lot? Then he carefully took the shoe off Rena's foot. The sand is so fine, it must get in easily. Felix emptied all the sand from her shoe. If it's too much trouble, you can just go barefoot. Seeing her expression, he steadied her as her face turned bright red with embarrassment. It's okay. It's not the first time I've seen someone's bare feet. Realizing Rena was embarrassed, Felix quickly tried to salvage the situation. The sand is bothering me too. Then he took off his own shoes, placing his feet on the fine sand. Now we're even, right? It's just us here, so please relax. And just like that, the two of them stood comfortably enjoying the breeze by the vast blue sea. He spoke to Rena gently. Since we're barefoot, let's walk this way. Then she slowly dipped her feet into the cool, refreshing water. It was her first time at the beach, and Rena exclaimed with delight, "Wow, it's so cool." Seeing the lingering smile on her lips, Felix felt more relieved than ever that she could smile so naturally and happily. Their hands intertwined tightly. He smiled contentedly. Was it because there had been too many things to worry about during the party? It's a shame I didn't bring you here sooner. I'll take you to many more amazing places from now on, Rena. Rena looked excitedly into the distance and asked, "What is that over there?" Sometime later, the carriage stopped on a cobblestone road, and she asked curiously from behind her blindfold, "Why do I have to keep my eyes closed?" Felix maintained an air of mystery. Okay, we're here." He slowly counted, 3, 2, 1. Now, Felix removed his hands from her eyes. Looking at the scene in front of her, Rena couldn't hide her astonishment. Rena excitedly took everything in with curiosity, then suddenly exclaimed, "Whoa, this department store is huge." Felix stood behind her, his gaze following hers, and then spoke gently. "It is, isn't it? I didn't realize it was this big either." Rena felt overwhelmed by it all. "It's so huge, I don't even know where to begin." And Felix pointed somewhere, suggesting with a smile, "How about we just take it slow, just like we're taking a walk?" Their hands clasped tightly, they blended into the crowded street just like any other ordinary couple. Rena froze for a moment, thinking to herself, "Huh? It's not the first time we've held hands, so why is my heart racing like this?" And Felix, after explaining all the places they were passing, realized something was wrong and turned to ask Rena, "Are you listening to me?" Flustered, she quickly replied to him, "Oh, I'm sorry, I was just lost in thought for a moment." Felix patiently pointed to the entrance ahead and suggested again, "I was saying we should go in this way. What do you think?" "Yes, okay," Rena quickly agreed. Observing her hesitant expression, Felix silently wondered, "Is she still wary of me?" The door opened to welcome them, and Rena happily picked up jars of paint inside the store, full of excitement. "Whoa, there are so many beautiful colors," Felix said softly. "Take your time and look at whatever you like in here." Rena smiled and replied, "Ah, thank you." Then a wave of curiosity washed over her. For the tubes of paint she saw, "This color is just like the Freshmager Sea. I wonder what it would look like if I used a thick, flat brush. This color looks exactly like the gem on the necklace Free gave me. There are so many types of canvas with different textures. It's my first time seeing them. I wonder what it would be like to paint on this kind." I was so excited that I picked them up one by one, filling the basket. The bigger problem is I just realized I don't have any money. Just then, Felix chuckled softly behind Rena while covering his mouth, and then he asked, "Are you done choosing? I see they have canvas. Aren't you getting any?" Rena hesitated, glancing at Felix and thinking, should I ask to borrow some from him? But I have no way to pay him back. Felix, unaware of her awkward situation, just crossed his arms and thought adoringly, "The way she's hesitating is so cute." Flustered, Rena hurriedly put the paint tubes back on the shelf, then shyly made an excuse to Felix. "On second thought, I probably don't need this many." He took the tube of paint from her hand, along with the basket she had just filled. Felix generously declared, "I'll pay for all of it, so please get whatever you need, don't worry." "Yes," Rena still hesitated, but this is too much." Felix looked at her fondly, then whispered softly, "Just leave this to me, because I am your husband after all." Rena was astonished, her eyes widening in embarrassment at his words. Felix, getting flustered himself, quickly turned away and rushed to the counter to order, "Please wrap all of this up. And add that purple paint from over there. Also, please pack the canvases by tight for me. Rena's face paled as she rushed to stop Felix. That's way too much, but Felix just maintained the appearance of a wealthy man to reassure her. It's been a while since we've gone shopping, so if you like something, you should just buy it. I'll give this stuff to the driver so you go look around some more. If you find anything else you like, make sure you put it in the basket. Rena stammered. But my lord, that's more than enough. She walked up to the payment counter and asked in a low voice, Excuse me, how much is the total? The salesperson announced with a bright smile. Our products are exclusive to our store, so the price is a bit steep. The total comes to 20 florins. Rena immediately panicked, completely frozen in place. 20 florins is equivalent to a laborer's salary for 15 months. That's an insanely high price. Felix suddenly came up from behind and whispered in Rena's ear, Your face is telling me exactly what you're thinking. I'm not actually giving you all this for free, you know. There's something I want from you in return. Rena looked up at him dazedly. In return, Felix quickly requested a painting. Just give me a painting. Anyone will do. I want to place a painting by you on my desk. Rena lowered her head, still completely flustered. Of course I can draw one for you. But it's not even worth 20 florins. Felix was at a loss. What would be enough? Well then, there's no other way. You'll have to start dating me from now on. After that, the two of them went together to a luxurious castle-like bakery. Yes! Rena exclaimed excitedly. Whoa, this is my first time at a bakery. Felix gestured for her to enter and asked with a teasing voice, Do you like this place, my lady? She looked around curiously and replied happily, Yes, I've always wanted to visit one. Thank you, Felix. He generously exclaimed, Rena, pick whatever you want. Rena sat at the table indecisively, looking at all the food. Everything looks so pretty and delicious that it's hard to choose, but I can't eat it all if I buy too much, so I'll probably just pick two. Yes, I'll take this one. Felix immediately looked at the server and politely ordered, We'll have this, and the macarons, and the lemon cream cake too. The waitress smiled cheerfully. Yes. Please wait a moment, we'll bring it right out. Rena sat down in a nearby chair and exclaimed in admiration. This place is so lovely, the cakes are as beautiful as the decor. A moment later, she leaned back in her chair and exclaimed in satisfaction, Ha, I ate so much, I feel like my dress is gonna burst. Felix, who was holding his teacup, suddenly paused and asked innocently, If you eat a lot, your dress will rip? Rena, her face beet red, hurriedly explained in embarrassment. Ah, no, that's not what I meant. I just mean I ate so much it feels tight, don't make me explain it. Ugh, just pretend you didn't hear that. Felix suddenly lowered his head, laughing with his eyes squeezed shut. Ahaha, I'm just teasing. I just really like that earnest side of you, Rena. And Rena, flustered, clutched her hair and turned away, thinking to herself, a laugh like that isn't convincing at all. Felix then suggested, Now that we're done eating, shall we pick out some cakes to bring home for everyone? She immediately leaned forward excitedly. Oh yes, let's go. I wonder what kind of cake Mother would like. Ah, everyone likes black tea, so how about we choose a Lady Grey cake? Felix touched Rena's shoulder in approval. That's a great idea. Everyone will be so happy. Rena, you go wait in the car first. I'll get it boxed up and bring it out. She obediently answered in a clear voice. Yes, I understand. Outside the bakery, Rena waited in the carriage with a happy look on her face when a hand gently tapped on the window. Felix looked at her affectionately and asked with concern, Have you been waiting long? Rena replied shyly, Not at all. I just got in. You know, Felix, of all the times I've gone shopping, today was the most fun I've ever had. Thank you for coming with me. Rena slept peacefully in her room with her eyes shut, looking serene. Suddenly, the sky outside began to pour, startling her awake. Rena looked out the window and sighed regretfully. It's raining so hard, and the sky was so clear at the open-air market just a while ago. Sigh, but at least I don't have to be afraid of something like the rain. I keep thinking about that time, the deafening sound of thunder, and how even in summer, I'd feel a chill, as if it was tearing my legs apart. That night when no one came to help me, it's not like that anymore. Now, all I have to do is close the window. Rena walked decisively to the window and quickly shut it tight. She suddenly froze, looking up at the window with wide eyes. The sight of the rain falling outside, as if it were a separate world from the small one inside Rena's room. She murmured in astonishment, closing the window makes it so quiet. I don't have to be afraid anymore. Things are different now. I can open the door whenever I want, and see everyone. Rena suddenly reached for a tube of paint, and then quietly sat by the window, painting a picture in the rain. The scene was gentle yet somber, as they simply sat there side by side, until the sky cleared again. The next morning, Felix knocked on the door and called out, Rena, are you awake yet? Breakfast. His voice trailed off when he was met with the sight of Rena, exhaustedly slumped over on the bed, all smudged with paint. Did she stay up all night painting? This is the first time I've seen this piece. It looks like she stayed up late painting. Rena painted this. Felix returned to the dining room, He sat down at the table and gently told everyone, "Please, don't wake Rena up. I think she was up painting all night." Alex asked excitedly, "Oh, so, have you seen the painting?" He gave a mysterious smile and lowered his head, speaking softly, "I did. It's a very mysterious and wonderful painting." Alex tilted his head, happily resting it on his clasped hands, and exclaimed, "I'm so happy Rena has found something she enjoys. When I think about the time, before we knew about this talent of hers, it breaks my heart." Evelyn, who was beside him, suddenly lowered her head and muttered, wondering to herself, I wonder if she'll become an artist?" Alex immediately frowned, pulling her back to reality. Evelyn, you can't force your own ambitions onto Rena," Evelyn grumbled, displeased. "I know that, but what if she ends up wanting to make a business out of it?" Just then, Felix chimed in helplessly. "We'll only know that down the line. Rena could change her mind." And Eden suddenly tilted his head, glancing at him with an amused expression. Isn't that a dangerous thing to say? What if she changes her mind about you?" Felix's body suddenly went rigid as he was plunged into a stream of curious, doubtful thoughts about what Rena thought of him. And Evelyn, suddenly annoyed, questioned him, "Eden, what on earth are you talking about?" Eden continued nonchalantly, "Well, based on what he said, it's a possibility." Jeffrey added helplessly, "Even though he's my brother, he has a slightly twisted personality." Felix grumbled, "What do you mean slightly? Just say it." The kid's completely warped. A while later, Rena woke up and walked over to the easel, her heart filled with complex emotions. She figured everyone must have seen it while she was asleep. It's a new painting, completely different from the others. The joyful voice of Eden suddenly rang out in her imagination. You've painted a picture filled with courage. You worked so hard, little one." A happy smile spread across Rena's lips. Father saw it too. She sighed, staring intently at the painting before her. Rena's gaze then shifted to something beside it. "Oh, a letter. When did this get here?" The letter contained just a few lines. "Something came up, so I had to leave early. I'm sorry I couldn't stay with you until the end. After I finish my work in the capital, I'll probably return to Nisa the same day. I hope you make wonderful memories at the dressmaker's." "Rena, I snuck a peek at your painting. It's so amazing it honestly took me by surprise." Rena read every word, her heart filled with happiness. Mortified, she quickly slammed the letter against her face, realizing Felix had seen it too. "But with him busy in the capital, I can't even see him on my first trip like this. It's not like we'll be apart forever. Jane, let's go out." They went together to a beautiful, dark blue sandy beach. Rena carried her art supplies, excitedly scanning the surroundings as Jane asked curiously, "Are you going to paint the seascape today?" Rena happily answered her, "That's the plan. Mostly because the weather is so beautiful today, yes." Jane quickly set up the easel in a spot, then excitedly asked Rena for her opinion. "Is it okay to set up the easel here?" She said with satisfaction, "Yes, that's perfect." Something suddenly scuttled by, making Jane whip her head around in alarm. Was that a blue crab just now? Elsewhere, Alex was bored. Glued to the window under Evelyn's judgmental gaze, he turned with a pitiful look and suggested, "Let's go out and enjoy the view." She was firm. "Absolutely not." Alex was still disappointed, but Evelyn reminded him, "Don't bother the children while they're playing. Come have some tea with me." Her eyes shifted slightly, glancing at the scene below. Rena's sunny smile and Jane's startled reaction to catching a blue crab caught her eye. Evelyn turned away with a happy smile. Rena sat on her stool, puffing out her cheeks in frustration and sighing, This is so dull. Why does the sea look so boring on canvas? Maybe I'm just not good enough." Just then, Jane walked in and announced with a smile, "My lady, I've brought dessert. Please enjoy." "Oh dear, are you still struggling?" Rena leaned back wearily in her chair. Seeing her frustration, Jane said in confusion, "But I think it's very beautiful already." Rena looked up, ignoring her comment, instead getting lost in her own complicated thoughts. "Come to think of it, I've never painted a person before." "A person?" Rena suddenly had a wonderful idea. She shot up excitedly and proposed to Jane. "Jane, can you sit there for a moment?" Jane was confused. "Huh?" A moment later, Jeffrey's excited voice called out, Rena, are you busy?" Rena turned her head slightly toward him and said casually, "No, I'm not busy. What is it?" Jeffrey's footsteps grew closer to her. "It's nothing much, but if you're not busy, let's hang out today." Rena thought helplessly to herself. He's 16 years old. He must be busy with academy matters. "All right, let's go. What should we do?" He cheered excitedly. "Yahoo! Let's just head out for now." They stepped outside into the gentle, cool air. Rena walked over the scattered fallen leaves, remarking, "It's already autumn." Jeffrey walked beside her, adding quietly, "Yeah, the seasons in Friesemager change faster than in Nisa." Rena's expression suddenly turned gloomy. "It would be so nice if Felix were here to see this with me." Jeffrey tilted his head, guessing the reason for her sudden change in mood. "Rena, are you thinking about him right now?" Rena looked up, flustered and surprised. Oh, how did you know? He crossed his arms, annoyed. It's written all over your face, that's how. We're hanging out and you're only thinking about him. Flustered, Rena quickly tried to explain. It was just for a moment. I only thought about him for a second. It's just a shame that he can't be out enjoying this beautiful weather, that's all. He leaned in close to her face with a suspicious look. For real? Rena blushed, trying to keep her composure. It's true, really. Joffrey turned away and laughed loudly. You're lying. It's okay. I was just teasing Rena a bit. What's so wrong with thinking about your fiancé? In fact, I'm looking forward to it. I just don't know when you two will finally get married. I've been waiting forever over here, so let me ask, when are you two finally going to get married? Rena stammered in embarrassment. Getting married isn't something I can decide on my own. I have to hear what Felix thinks too. He suddenly let out a sigh, then commented excitedly, Hey, who says that? My brother can't live without you, Rena. I bet he'll be the one who wants to marry you first. Hearing Joffrey's words left her in shock. Rena lowered her head in disbelief. Felix? Why, how would he know that there would be so many rumors that the Homegood family was on the verge of bankruptcy? After all, it's still the family of a count, even if it wasn't Rosie, the eldest daughter, but me. Perhaps from the perspective of the author, I had no choice but to accept it, but that doesn't matter anymore. Because this entire family has been so good to me. Yeah, but still, what if they knew it was me all along? How could they have known me? How could they have known where I was? He suddenly laughed cheerfully, clapping his hands to snap her out of it. Rena! Rena! Startled from her daze and confusion. Huh? What? Joffrey looked around and then suggested, It's getting a bit chilly, let's head back. Rena smiled in agreement. Yeah, okay, let's go. The two walked side by side toward the castle. After a short walk, Joffrey suddenly shouted excitedly, Whoa, Rena, look at the sunset. It's so beautiful. We have to go back tomorrow. I'm really going to miss this. Rena turned to look at him, suggesting with a hopeful expression, Maybe we could ask if we can come back here again next year? Joffrey explained. Nah, we'll just go somewhere else next year, so it's okay. Everyone has a lot of places they want to go with you, Rena. Let's go to the south this coming winter. Winter there is the best. His words made the pink on Rena's cheeks grow even brighter. She tilted her head excitedly and replied, I'm really looking forward to it. Even though Joffrey said that, my mind was filled with thoughts of Felix, the anxiety outweighing the anticipation. It was the same when I returned to Nisa. Felix said he might return on the same day, but he still wasn't back. Father said it would probably take a little more time because something came up in the capital. Even when he gets back, I don't know how to ask him. Ask if he's known about me for a long time? And I mean, how did he know I lived at the Homegoods house? I'm afraid the answer will be yes, and Felix knowing about me means his entire family knew as well. To stop feeling so anxious, all I've done for the past few days is paint. And since painting takes up so much time, Mother gave me a private room to work in. Even though a small room would have been enough. Suddenly a thought came to me. What if the Despensers knew about my past? Even if they knew those truths, they would still welcome me as a member of the family. They'd still be waiting for me. I can't hide it from them forever. Rena stood before a door and steeled her resolve. No matter how embarrassing it is, I have to talk to them myself, even if I still need a little more time to prepare. Just then, a maid's voice suddenly called out to Rena. Young lady, the master is looking for you. Dad! Rena quickly replied to her. Okay, I'll be right there. Dad, it's me, Rena, I heard you were looking for me. Alex smiled as he saw her hiding behind a wall. Oh, Rena, you're here. Rena, I'm sorry. Confused, she rushed out and asked loudly, Wah, what is it? Alex looked up and slowly explained, Well, you know the spring of Santita's castle. Well, Duke Cornwall liked it so much that I had no other choice but to give it to him. His story left Rena stunned, her eyes wide, before she said with relief, Oh my gosh. And here I thought it was something serious. Alex pouted, It is a big deal. Rena shook his arm and praised him happily. You did the right thing, Dad. We had to thank them anyway, and I was even thinking of painting something for them as thanks. Alex suddenly seized the perfect opportunity to announce, By the way, besides Duke Cornwall, a lot of other people want a painting by you. Rena was immediately astonished and asked hastily, Huh? Who? He gently patted her head and explained, A lot of people who attended the party said so. So, what I wanted to ask is, Rena, what would you think about holding an exhibition to sell your paintings? Count Bradley said that he would really love to take charge of it. Rena, still not believing what Alex was saying, asked excitedly, For real? He smiled sincerely and repeated, Of course I'm serious. As long as you like the idea, you should give it a try. But if you sell a painting you love, you might feel sad that you can't see it anymore. Seeing Alex's mood sink again, she quickly explained, If I sell them, I still have a lot of other paintings. All my paintings are for you, Dad. He still hesitated, looking at her with concern. That wouldn't be right. I'm sure they'll all sell. Her father's heart felt as warm as the sun. I must go send a telegram right away. Count Bradley will be so pleased. After Alex left, Rena was still in shock, her hands clasped tightly together. I'm going to have an exhibition? It feels like a dream. The fateful day arrived, and Rena paced around the room anxiously. Duyen, getting dizzy just from watching her, quickly suggested, "Oh my goodness. Young lady, please just sit down and wait. You're making me nervous too." So, Rena obediently sat down, clutching her head nervously. Ugh, I'm so tense. Duyen, what if the Count says he doesn't like any of them? Just then, Alex burst through the door, his voice fraught with worry. Duyen, pour me another glass of water. Geez, phew, I'm not the one painting or holding the exhibition, so why am I so nervous? Yes, sir? Rena laughed at his flustered state, even though she was trembling all over. You're really in a panic, Dad, a maid suddenly announced, causing them both to freeze like statues. Master, Count Bradley has arrived. Alex walked like a robot, urging, Rena, let's go. Rena, who wasn't doing any better, stiffly followed behind him. Yes, the calmest person in the room at this very moment was probably Jane. She watched them helplessly and remarked, You're both walking with the same arm and leg forward, master, young lady. Outside the gate, Bradley stood solemnly before the butler and maids, awaiting the arrival of the master of the house. Alex, who was now outside, quickly greeted him politely. Please come in, you must be tired from your long journey. Rena also acted like a proper young lady, bowing respectfully. Please come in, Count. Alex looked at the two of them, tilting his head with a cheerful smile. Ha, not at all. I was so excited that I dropped everything and had to come here this month. Alex walked ahead, acting as the host and introducing, Please come inside, the art gallery is on the top floor. And so, Rena walked behind them, her face pale with worry. Would he notice the change in art style? Or not? What if he doesn't like this new style? Even if he criticizes it, I shouldn't be disappointed. Just getting a recommendation from him was already unimaginable. They had arrived at Rena's art room. Alex quickly opened the door, respectfully exclaiming, Is this the room? Bradley looked into the room full of paintings with astonishment. He gently remarked, Oh, Miss Rena, over this time, you've created so many new pieces. I'll just take my time looking, if that's all right. Rena happily agreed. Of course, please take all the time you need. After that, she stood frozen in place with anxiety, watching Bradley walk around the room, meticulously observing everything. He suddenly stopped in front of the painting Rena made on that rainy day, then praised it admiringly. This piece is truly incredible. In this short period of time, what on earth happened? I thought you only painted delicate and soft pieces, yet you also create bold and sophisticated works like this. In particular, I want to buy this Stormy Night piece. As an organizer, I shouldn't be selfish, but I truly want to have this painting. Rena and Alex immediately looked at each other happily with excitement. A while later, Bradley left with a hint of regret. I had a wonderful time today. Now when I get home, I'll have so much work to do. Rena quickly spoke politely. Sir, please don't overwork yourself, Count. He laughed heartily and said magnanimously, Ho, how could I not? I must do my absolute best to let the world know about Miss Rena's work, Rena said shyly. Thank you so much, truly. That evening, Rena dragged her feet back to her bed. She comfortably enjoyed the warmth of her bed with excitement. Phew, my bed is still the best. I'm having an exhibition in 2 months? It feels like a dream. Suddenly, a continuous knock came from the door. Rena lay in bed and wondered in surprise, Who could be here at this hour? Please come in. The door opened to reveal the looming figure of a man. The moment she saw him, Rena's eyes widened in shock, her hands awkwardly clutched, the hem of her nightgown in a flurry of excitement. Felix leaned against the doorway, gently asking Rena, Are you well? Rena was stunned by his appearance. Rena, flustered, blushed, and glanced away, asking softly, When did you get here? Felix took slow steps towards her. I just arrived. I rushed right over. Were you sleeping? Rena, embarrassed, quickly raised a hand to her face and turned her head away. Ah, no. The atmosphere suddenly fell silent. Rena thought anxiously, This is so nerve-wracking. Why did he come so suddenly? I really wanted to see him soon. But, at that moment, Felix suddenly seemed embarrassed and spoke up. That was thoughtless of me, wasn't it? You must be tired, right? Then you should rest. We can see each other tomorrow. Hearing this, Rena quickly looked up and called out to Felix. Wait. She turned on her heel and went into the room to get something. Rena rummaged through her wardrobe in search of it, under Felix's bewildered gaze. Rena's face suddenly flushed with embarrassment. I meant to give this to you last time, her hand awkwardly hiding something inside. Rena mustered all her courage and presented the gift to Felix with nervous excitement, even though it wasn't wrapped yet. He was taken aback by Rena's nervous excitement and shyly asked, You've already painted it? You could have taken your time. The incredibly romantic painting of 2 roses gently intertwined was revealed before Felix. He asked a curious question that made Rena jump. I wonder if this painting has some kind of special meaning. I don't know much about art. Rena wanted to say something but couldn't get the words out, lowering her head to try and compose herself. Rena's finger suddenly pointed to a small, vibrant rose in the painting, and she awkwardly explained, "That's me." Her finger then pointed to the larger flower beside it, and then she pointed at him, softly calling out, "Felix." Rena's hand suddenly froze in midair, and she timidly and awkwardly stammered, That's what it means." Felix watched her expressive face and couldn't help but laugh. "Ah, you're just too cute, honestly." He suppressed his laughter and sincerely expressed his admiration for her painting. "Thank you, Rena. I absolutely love it." The next morning, Felix was sitting intently in his office working on something when his gaze suddenly shifted, glancing in a certain direction. The painting of the two roses immediately caught his eye. He blissfully lost himself in the thought, "Rena and me." Felix gently reached out to touch it, thinking fondly, how can she have such an adorable idea? But an empty space to the side suddenly caught his attention. Felix stroked his chin, thinking seriously, "Now that I notice, this part is just empty space. The painting looks a bit lopsided. The theme is probably us, right? This is Rena, and this is me." And then an embarrassing thought suddenly occurred to him, making Felix's face burn red. He suddenly understood something, causing him to drop the hand covering his mouth in shock. Could it be? Yes, sometime later? The driver's respectful voice called out to Rena, "My lady, we're almost there." She replied with a gentle smile, "Yes, thank you." 2 months flew by, and Count Bradley said, "It's better to have more elements in a painting. So it feels like I've been painting non-stop ever since I gave him that piece." Felix became busy again. "I heard he's been at Duke Conwan's estate for a few weeks, due to orders from the capital." The carriage came to a halt as the coachman announced, "We've arrived, my lady." A look of firm resolve appeared in Rena's eyes, and today I will. After a 2-month wait, the exhibition was finally held. "Whoa, it's so spacious. I can't believe I get to hold my exhibition here." Bradley was already waiting outside for Rena and greeted her cheerfully. "Rena, has our artist finally arrived?" Rena excitedly expressed her own amazement at the grandeur of the venue. "Count, the hall is truly wonderful." "Yes," Bradley laughed proudly. "It has to be on this scale to be worthy of your first exhibition, Rena." "Ah, I just remembered that a bouquet of flowers was delivered here," Rena asked in surprise. "A bouquet? Who was the first to congratulate you on your exhibition?" "If I could sneak out of the academy, I would have come to Jeffrey's to congratulate you." "Rena, I'm so sorry I couldn't make it. Next time, I'll personally bring you a bouquet of white Eden flowers. My precious family sends their well wishes." From Felix?" The butler gently took the bouquet from Rena's hands, then announced respectfully, "I will place this in the carriage for you." "Yes," Rena agreed and handed the bouquet to him. "Thank you." I guess he couldn't come because something important came up? Just then, Adley enthusiastically welcomed Rena inside. "Come now, please come in, Miss Rena." Rena slowly composed herself, then spoke with a bright smile. "Oh, yes, let's go in." As they stepped inside, Adley quickly asked for Rena's opinion. "We're still putting on the finishing touches. What do you think? Are you pleased?" But she was absolutely captivated by the scene. Rena's eyes widened in awe. "Whoa, this is amazing." The Baroness then gestured to introduce a young woman standing on the other side to Rena. "And this is Emma Baton, who will be managing and guiding your exhibition, Rena." Rena politely approached to greet her. "Hello. I look forward to working with you." But before she could finish, Emma eagerly grabbed Rena's hands in excitement. "I finally get to meet you. I've been so incredibly eager to meet you. I really love your work, Miss Rena. You're the reason I enjoy this job so much. I'd heard stories, but I never imagined you'd be such a young and lovely lady. I admire you so much, Rena." Overwhelmed by her intense enthusiasm, Rena took a hesitant step back and spoke politely in a quiet voice. Thank you." Baroness Adley suddenly spoke from behind them and reminded her in a friendly tone, Miss Emma, let's not make the artist uncomfortable. Now, we still have work to do." Her face fell in panic, and she quickly exclaimed, "Ah, that's right. Gosh, there's still plenty of time, so please take your time looking around. Just call us if you need anything." Rena happily waved goodbye to her. "Yes, thank you, Emma." Just then, a familiar voice suddenly rang out from outside the door. "Let go of me. There are people in there. Do you have any idea who I am? I'm the sister of the brat holding this exhibition." Lucy burst through the door, to the alarm of the guard outside. Annoyed, Rena confronted her. "Outsiders aren't allowed in yet. What do you think you're doing?" Lucy shot back, shouting angrily, "Listen to the nerve of this brat, talking to her older sister like that. Am I an outsider? These drawings? You actually hung this stuff up and called it art? Why would you waste all this money to hold an exhibition? You're so ungrateful you didn't even send an invitation. To your own family, you little bitch." Rena's expression darkened as her furious voice suddenly rang out. It made Lucy freeze in fear. "Get out!" Then a dissatisfied voice, Rosie's, was heard. The Portia Salon, sponsored by Marchioness Taylor Goth, was the largest social gathering in the capital. At her salon, dignity was paramount, far more important than any amount of money. It would be impossible to hang a poster for your exhibition here. Are you trying to piss me off? That filthy orphanage volunteer work? Visiting those disgusting slums? After all the hardships I went through, I still wasn't qualified to set foot inside. Yet you can get in so easily? Getting ahead just by getting married? You're the only one who has it so easy. All you know is just cleaning and doing housework. I tried so hard not to be like you, yet you don't have to do a single thing. Rena's face darkened as she glared at Lucy, then she snarled, "Get out, Rosie." Her eyes widened in shock, not believing she was being dismissed, as Lucy's mouth opened to say something. But she quickly composed herself, and then suddenly, she let out a sinister and smug laugh. Lucy suddenly turned her head away, squeezed her eyes shut, and then said mockingly, "I knew you were an idiot, but not to this extent. You think you can do whatever you want now? They asked a little thing, like you to paint? Are they insane? I'm just embarrassed by a thing like you who only knows housework, you moron. All the men in that house know what you did back at home." Rena's brow furrowed in irritation at her sharp words. Yes, but seeing Rena's frustrated expression only made Lucy more delighted and smug. "Look at that face. Yes, that's the one. Do you remember now? You're not an artist, and you're no lady. You're just Rena, that ugly, lazy loser from HomeGood. They know all that, so they must be terribly embarrassed, so ashamed that they're pouring money into this for you. Please, learn your place. Do you think you got this far because you're smart? It's all because they're embarrassed by you, so please, don't be so arrogant." Ah, so satisfying. Finally speechless, are you? To think a cheap little thing like you dared to talk to me like that. Just you try to open that exhibition, I'll tell everyone the truth. But while Lucy was feeling incredibly smug, Rena suddenly spoke in a low voice. "I am so ashamed that you are my sister. Both the fact that I'm from HomeGood and the fact that we share the same blood, I'm just so ashamed." Lucy angrily raised her hand at Rena, screaming, "You little!" But Rena did not back down. Instead, grabbing her wrist tightly, Rena reminded Lucy sternly, "You are just like Mother. Don't raise your hand to me so carelessly. I'm not going to let you hit me anymore." Her face darkened as she stared at her captured wrist, thinking in shock, how is she so strong? Seeing Lucy's face pale, Rena said in frustration, "What? Does it hurt just from being held? Do you now understand the pain I felt? Even just a little?" Then, Rena released her hand, causing Lucy to sprawl onto the ground beside her. "Ah!" Then Rena dusted off her hands, looked her straight in the eye, and continued, "I could hurt you much more than this. But do you know why I won't? Because I don't want to become a person like your mother." Lucy's face contorted with rage. She scrambled to her feet and then lunged at Rena, screaming, "What are you saying, you disrespectful brat? How dare you do this to me? Do you think you'll get away unscathed?" From behind, Scarlett suddenly walked up, flashing a scornful, mocking smile at Lucy. "Oh my. Your voice is lovely. You must be in good health. I'm so envious. I meant to be the first one here. Did I fail?" Lucy glared at her furiously, questioning her as if she owned the place. "Who are you? We aren't open yet. Who gave you permission to just come in?" Charlotte tilted her head, pointed to herself, and repeated, "Me? I am Charlotte Tenenus, and who might you be to speak so impudently?" Instantly, Lucy froze, her eyes wide with utter shock. Charlotte Tenenus? It had to be now, of all times. Marquis Gabriel Tenenus has 3 sons and 1 daughter. Among them, Charlotte is the youngest daughter and the precious jewel of the Tenenus household. Since childhood, she has been in poor health, so she has never appeared before the public. She left society shortly after her debutante ball. Some even joked that she was the true power within the Tenenus family, as her parents and brothers doted on her endlessly. The youngest daughter. So many young ladies in society want to befriend her. She's the reason I painstakingly saved up all that money to go there. I heard her health has improved recently, so she occasionally appears at salons. I've never seen her at a salon, so why is she here now? At that moment, Rena politely bowed her head and spoke to Charlotte. "I apologize for the rudeness displayed before you. I am Rena Despencer. Thank you for visiting." Lucy's demeanor suddenly changed to one of warmth as she stepped forward, bumping Rena's shoulder. I apologize for not recognizing you. I did not realize you were a daughter of the Tenenus family. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Rosie HomeGood." But Charlotte just coldly walked past her and went straight toward Rena. She excitedly grasped Rena's hands and began to gush. "Congratulations on your exhibition. Lord White spoke so highly of you that I simply had to meet you." Rena stared at the girl before her in disbelief, and muttered to herself, "Could this lady be?" As the other woman continued to speak, "His lordship gifted me the Spring of Santita's castle painting. It is one of my most cherished gifts from him. That is why I was so eager to come today." Just then, Count Bradley arrived and greeted them cheerfully. "Oh my, Lady Charlotte, you've come so early. Lady Rena, this is... Just as Rena was flustered and unsure what to do, Charlotte cheerfully cut in. Introductions. I've already introduced myself, Count. I know I'm an uninvited guest, and a tad early, but may I view the paintings first? Bradley quickly and cheerfully replied. But of course, please do. Please. Feel free to tour the gallery, of course you may. In fact, I should be the one thanking you for coming. The scene was bustling, yet filled with laughter and chatter, making Rena feel so warm. Just looking at her is so pleasant. She's such a beautiful lady and a perfect match for the Duke. Now that I think about it, where did Rosie go? Lucy was staggering away unsteadily, laughing like a madwoman as she lamented, "Haha, it's really over now. The Duke's fiancée, Charlotte. And I just had to provoke her. Rena, my life is a mess because of you, you useless wench." Meanwhile, back in the exhibition hall, Charlotte was absolutely giddy, hugging herself and squealing, "Eek, eek. What am I to do? There are so many things I wish to purchase. Could there be a happier dilemma? I do feel a bit guilty toward the other patrons, but this one, and that one over there, I shall purchase the entire row. You should enthusiastically recommend that to her. It's a wonderful choice." Miss Rena watched from behind as she shopped like a wealthy madam, and her eyes immediately widened in surprise. She didn't even ask the price. Salat cheerfully covered her mouth and continued to speak. "Just send the bill to the Conwan ducal estate in the capital. He owes me one." "Oh, Miss Rena, I've seen your paintings. They're wonderful. And no one told me you were this beautiful. I'll have to have a word with Lloyd White." A flustered Rena quickly said with humility, You're flattering me." Salat suddenly and gently took her hand, and then gently suggested, "Not at all. In fact, I was hoping to get closer to both you and your paintings, Miss Rena. Shall we become friends?" Rena couldn't believe her ears and was stunned, thinking to herself, "Someone so noble wants to be friends with me? Although I am lacking in many ways, I hope you will take me into your care, my lady. I would be deeply honored." But she gave a gentle smile, covering her mouth to tease Rena. "Honored? Friends don't say such things to each other. You're quite interesting, Miss Rena." Rena was completely flustered again, fumbling about, not knowing how to act with proper etiquette. "What am I supposed to do?" "Friends." At another estate, Lloyd propped his chin on his hand, then spoke with a bored expression. Waiting is so boring, isn't it?" But Felix said nothing, just stared intently at the slowly moving hands of the clock. A dissatisfied Lloyd raised his voice and pointed at him, demanding, "That reaction of yours is creeping me out." "Well, go on and complain then. So what?" Felix sighed wearily. "What would change even if I complained? Right now, not only the royal family but also members of the National Assembly are gathering in the capital, as if there's some kind of emergency. The main reason is the health of King Loyosi. His Majesty's health has seriously deteriorated, and it was poor from the start, so everyone already anticipated this. In reality, all we do here is report on his condition every morning. Everything is so inefficient. That's why I've been stuck here for a few days, but at least I can still see Rena today. So, she said the exhibition starts at 1 o'clock, right? Even if I'm late, I have to get the gift before 12 o'clock. At that moment, a servant's announcement came from outside the door. "Your Grace, a letter has arrived." Lloyd had now returned to his usual stern demeanor and gave an order to the person outside. "It's finally here, come in. You've worked hard. The news of your release has finally..." But his eyes suddenly narrowed, and the playful look was gone. Lloyd read every line in the letter intently. Seeing his strange expression, Felix asked with a sense of unease, "What is it? Why the grim face?" Lloyd hesitated. Well, it's because this news might free you in a different way. After that, Solid arrived at the exhibition today before it opened, and I hear Rena and Rosie Homegood got into a scuffle." Felix immediately stood up and said hastily, "I'm taking my leave." Lloyd frowned in displeasure and lamented, "Oh, I knew it. He didn't even let me finish. Seriously." But Felix had already left coldly with an annoyed look, slamming the door shut. Lloyd was still staring intently at the letter with an astonished thought in his mind. Miss Rena was never a pushover. The letter had another note on the back, P.S. She made her stance perfectly clear, without being overwhelmed by bad people. Unlike what you said, she's actually very strong. So Felix, you shouldn't be so overprotective of her. After fainting from exhaustion while climbing and just waking up, he went there all by himself. He suddenly realized something and froze at his own words. Lloyd, feeling helpless, quickly leaned back in his chair and sighed about the whole thing. "I'm in no position to be giving Philip advice either. I need to make a schedule as soon as possible. If I keep worrying like this, will I even survive?" Felix rushed into the exhibition hall. He pushed the door open forcefully, looking worried, and shouted, "Rena!" Rena was sitting calmly at a table, drinking tea. When she saw him, she was startled and stammered, "Felix, why are you here?" Felix suddenly grabbed her hand tightly. He looked her over with a pained expression and said, "I heard what happened. I heard Rosie came here. Are you okay? She didn't hit you or anything, did she?" Are you all right? Rena was stunned by the warm concern Felix was showing her. He ran all the way here for that reason, because he was worried about me. He was still checking Rena's body. There are no scratches here either. I think my finger is slightly injured. Rena looked at Felix's increasingly grumpy face and couldn't help but feel a little guilty. He's so busy after all. It's because I'm not trustworthy. I promised something like this wouldn't happen again. Every time something happens, I make him skip work. I said I could handle it myself, that I'd resolve it on my own. I want him to stop worrying. She suddenly mustered her courage and shouted, I won. Felix was surprised by Rena's words, and his eyes widened. Rena excitedly recounted, I didn't get hit once, even though I was a bit shaken by what Rosie said. She was about to hit me, but I stopped her. I also said everything I wanted to say. I won. The corners of Felix's mouth twitched, wanting to say something. He suddenly chuckled at her reaction. He quickly praised Rena as if coddling a child. You did so well. I'm sure I couldn't have done that. You're amazing, Rena. Yes. Hearing that, Rena was overjoyed, her heart blooming with happiness. She boasted proudly, Yes, of course. Whose wife do you think I am? This was nothing. The atmosphere immediately became awkward. Rena blushed with embarrassment. But Felix wasn't doing much better, as his face was now burning hot. Rena frantically gestured to explain, well. But Felix, looking pleased, laughed and said, I heard it all. I'll never forget this for the rest of my life. Felix's eyes suddenly widened as he remembered something. He shot up to his feet and exclaimed, Rena asked in confusion. What is it? Felix, still pale, cried out in disappointment. I forgot your gift, Rena repeated blankly. A gift? But Felix was still drowning in self-reproach, clutching his head dejectedly. This useless fool! I planned it all out and still managed to forget. Rena chuckled at his reaction, and here I thought it was something serious. It's okay. Just having you here is a huge joy for me. Still looking downcast, Felix squeezed Rena's hand tightly, then declared in a firm tone, You will definitely get a gift tomorrow. Rena sighed helplessly, just like a little puppy. Okay, I'll be waiting for it. Felix and Rena lay happily on the bed, hugging the gift from Felix. With a happy heart, the nerve-wracking yet thrilling exhibition ended as a resounding success. After learning that the young lady of House Tenenbaum had purchased many paintings, the other nobles also flocked to buy them. Yes, as a result, all the paintings were sold out on the very first day. Just then, Duyen suddenly pushed open the door to Rena's room and announced respectfully, My lady, the madam has summoned you. An excited Rena quickly replied to her, Okay, I'll be right there. Even though I was back to my daily life, I still felt like I was walking on air, probably because so many unbelievable things were still happening. A moment later, Rena, dressed neatly, went downstairs and opened the door to Evelyn's study. With curiosity, mother, you called for me? She smiled gently, motioning to an empty seat beside her and said, Yes, Rena, come sit here. Congratulations on your exhibition, Rena. I'm also sorry I couldn't be there with you on opening day. Rena just smiled brightly. It's all right. Thanks to the Count and Emma, it wasn't difficult at all. Evelyn's expression suddenly fell, and she said hesitantly in a low voice, I heard that Rossi was there on the first day. Of course, Alex and I deeply regret that we should have cleared our schedules. Oh, did Rossi say anything to hurt you, or did she bring up anything related to money? Rena, flustered, quickly reassured her. Oh no, she didn't mention anything about money. It just seems she was jealous of me. I suppose she didn't want to see a good-for-nothing like me painting and holding an exhibition. Lucy's venomous words echoed in her mind once more. Look at her, thinking she can do whatever she wants. Why would they ask someone like you to paint? They're just embarrassed to have a domestic little thing like you around, you idiot. She looked up, guessing to herself what Rossi must have been thinking at the time. She probably thought I would be hurt and shaken by those words forever. In the past, I definitely would have been, but not anymore. An agitated Evelyn pressed Rena for more. With such an absurd excuse, what did she say to you? Rena said resolutely, her heart filled with trust for this family, because I know, my family would never think that way. Mother, back at Homegood, I was worthless, just like she thought. Evelyn's eyes widened in surprise at Rena's calm confession. Rena continued in a low voice, recounting her experiences. Because I wasn't good at housework, so after they let the maids go, I had to do all the housework myself, from cleaning and laundry to cooking. At first, I did it because I thought it was the right thing to do, but I gradually got used to it, so of course Rosie started treating me like a maid. Yes, that's why I've learned so much since coming here. I learned to paint and read many books. I understand why Rossi is so resentful, but from now on, I won't let her treat me like a maid anymore, because I am now Rena Despencer. Moved by her words, Evelyn's eyes began to well up with tears. Rena, that's right. That's how you should think. She leaned over and pulled Rena into a tight hug. I'm so proud of you, my daughter. To be honest, I already knew what your life was like at the Homegood house. She put her arm around her mother's shoulders, thinking to herself, Just as I thought. How did you know, Mother? At the Angora orphanage, Evelyn gently recounted. The story of how we met. At the time, our family went there to do charity work, and we saw you for the first time. Alex and I wanted to adopt you as our daughter, but after speaking with the director, we learned you were a count's daughter. We felt so terrible seeing how poorly they were treating you. After looking into it more, I learned just how hard your life there was. Rena's surprise turned to understanding, so that's how it was. Yes, that makes sense. Back then, if I didn't look like a girl who gathered firewood in the forest, who would have ever imagined that I was a count's daughter? Then Evelyn suddenly lowered her head, speaking anxiously. I was worried that, if I told you I knew about your situation, you might think I was trying to hold a weakness over you or something. The whole family was so worried, not knowing if telling you would make you uncomfortable or if we should have just told you from the start. When you first arrived, I still wasn't sure what the right thing to do was. Rena bowed her head, honestly, sharing her innermost thoughts. If I had known back then, I'm sure I would have felt very insecure. Yes, I'm sorry for making everyone worry like that. And thank you all so much. Evelyn looked gently into Rena's eyes, reassuring her, Rena, to us, it doesn't matter if you're a count's daughter or lived in an orphanage. Regardless of your status or background, we love you dearly. Rena lowered her head, pressing her cheek into the woman's hand with a happy smile. I've lived my whole life thinking no one loved me, but now I'm receiving so much love from people who used to be complete strangers. Yes, Evelyn suggested cheerfully. Why don't we go visit the Angora orphanage sometime? Rena quickly agreed. Yes, I'd love to go with you, Mother. Alex suddenly burst in, his footsteps hurried and excited. Rena, from the very first moment I saw you, you were my daughter. And Evelyn confronted him, annoyed. Honey, were you eavesdropping? Rena, startled by Alex's appearance, thought to herself, showing my family my vulnerable side. Isn't scary at all. I feel relieved and so much more confident. If I hadn't come here, I might have gone my whole life without ever knowing this. Now back in her room, Rena touched her face, embarrassed. I cried way too much. I probably can't get any drawing done today. Something caught her eye, making her hand pause on the door. Yes, Felix was standing outside with his arms crossed, looking at her. Are you done talking? He asked with concern. Rena looked down, flustered and stammered, not knowing how to reply. Well, I'm sorry for not remembering. Felix chuckled at her cute reaction. I'm the one who should be sorry for not telling you sooner. But Rena quickly looked up, showing she understood. Everyone was just being considerate of my feelings, so it's okay. I heard that you all saw me at the orphanage, and I was so shabby and miserable back then. But Felix didn't show the slightest hint of disdain. Instead, he just had this goofy, adoring smile on his face. He leaned in close to Rena, cutting off her self-deprecating words. You're beautiful. You were beautiful the first time I saw you, and of course, you still are now. Rena was sitting in a daze, her head resting against the side of the carriage, when she suddenly peeked out the window and then cried out excitedly. My lady, look over there, it's a snowman. The kids must have made it. My lady, why are you spacing out like that? You were so excited about buying gifts for everyone in the family. So, a flustered Rena quickly waved her hands and explained, no, it's not because I was too excited or anything. It was actually because of Felix. His teasing voice from yesterday suddenly echoed in her mind. You're so beautiful. I thought you were gorgeous the first time I saw you. Rena blushed shyly at his words, and Felix, seeing her stunned expression, quickly added more. Of course you still are now. The Rena in the present, her face burning bright red, thought, there's no way that's true. I should have just left it at that. I shouldn't have overthought it so much. Just let it go. How must I have looked to Felix? He was busy and had to leave right away, so I didn't even get a chance to ask. No, even if Felix had stayed longer, I wouldn't have been able to ask him anything. I'm afraid I showed him the absolute worst of the worst. Just as Rena was sinking into her own embarrassment, Duyen suddenly spoke up. My lady, it looks like we've arrived. Please prepare to get out. A still dazed Rena stammered back at her. Alright, first things first, snap out of it, Rena. Today's the day you get to buy lots of things with the very first money you've ever earned. Rena gently stepped out of the carriage, drawn by someone's gentle voice from ahead. Here, give me your hand, my lady. I will be your escort today. Rena asked in astonishment. Eden, what are you doing here? What about the academy? He quickly explained. Father said he was a bit worried, so he contacted me. The only thing left at the academy is the graduation ceremony, so I'm done with classes. Have you already planned out where you need to go? Because the capital is a bit complicated. If you just wander around without a plan, time will pass in the blink of an eye. Rena spoke up shyly. I've made a list of things I want to buy, but I haven't figured out where to go. An amused Eden pointed to himself and suggested, in that case, I suppose I'll have to pick the spots and guide you. Rena's spirits lifted as she said loudly, Yes, I'll be counting on you, Eden. He then led them off, saying, Then let's get started. First up. A while later, an exhausted Rena was panting on a stone bench, surrounded by a pile of gifts. Ugh, Ah. If Duyen hadn't helped me choose a different pair of shoes, I would have been in huge trouble. Beside her, Duyen cheerfully gave Rena a thumbs up. A pair of flat shoes is the most comfortable for shopping, Eden asked from the side. So all that's left is a gift for your brother, right? Rena nodded happily. Yes, that's right. I still haven't chosen a gift to give Felix. A shirt for Eden that I bought secretly while pretending to pick a gift for Jane, glasses for my mother, a tie pin for my father, and a warm wool blanket for Jeffrey for the winter. I'm so glad I could find things they'd all like here, Eden suggested cheerfully. So, after you finish picking out his gift, shall we go somewhere for a little while? Rena paused to think. Felix did say he was in the capital too. But he's busy, so it's not like we could meet. Yes, after you've guided me so kindly, of course I can make some time. Eden smiled gently and said, Thank you. Shall we get going then? Rena happily agreed. Yes, what should I get for Felix? I'd like to get him something useful if possible. Something he uses often, and it wouldn't matter even if he already has one. Rena's face suddenly brightened as she thought of something. She quickly dashed off, leaving them with just a quick word. I'm just gonna pop into this shop for a moment. Wait for me, okay? Diane immediately panicked and turned to stop her. My lady, you can't go by yourself. But she had already quickly disappeared from sight. It's fine. I'll be right out after I buy it. That girl! Lloyd cried out. Oh, for crying out loud. What am I supposed to do if something happens? Seeing his distress, Eden spoke up to calm him down. We're right out front, so it'll be fine. A while later, Rena came out cheerfully with a small box in her hand. Heh, I got it. Now let's head to the place you wanted to go, Eden. Eden stared at her and then said, That's a relief. It's not too far from here. After that, they all went to a magnificent mansion. Eden stood shyly at the entrance and invited Rena in. I haven't finished tidying up, so it's a bit of a mess, but please, come in. Rena looked around, completely astonished. She scanned her surroundings, wondering, Where are we? His answer left her stunned. This is my workshop. Rena was flustered. Huh? Then does that mean all the dresses here were made by Eden? Yourself? Yes, Eden admitted, turning away to avoid her gaze. Yeah, it's a bit embarrassing. Rena suddenly remembered something and asked timidly, Don't tell me. The dresses you gave me before were also, he explained casually. That's right. I made them. Rena immediately became flustered and spoke up.